Here we go.
In 5, 4, 3.
Call to me, lands far away.
Elves have forests to protect.
We need to build a wall.
Dwarfs their mines. Men their fields of grain. But we Harfoots have each other.
For I must now wander this wandering day.
We're safe.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel.
No.
Put up your sword.
The enemy is still out there. The question now is where?
It is over.
Nothing is over! Nothing! You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Darkness will march over the face of the earth. It will be the end, not just of our people, but all peoples.
Everyone! I am sorry, but their time has come.
The past is with us all. The past is dead. We either move forward or we die with it.
This could be the beginning of a new era.
Away I must wander this wandering day.
To him finally being lionized as in the prime and his prime. Fuck.
Do it!
Shit.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams change. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Luke went from being, oh no. Welcome, Slayer Nation. I have some great news for you today. I hope you're all doing great. Nope, that didn't work. One more.
You have failed me for the last time.
Welcome, Slayer Nation. I hope.
If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
That is eating away at what you love in order for it to shine. And one man's vision is... Sometimes you don't have to make things better for them to be great again. You merely have to Okay. Hollywood continues to slow boil the culture and crazy. Well, right now, Spider-Man actor Andrew Garfield has stepped up and he's fighting motherfucker.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
And unbearded dwarves, but Prime didn't stop there. They stapled in intersectionality, individuality, biddiga-dig-bee, biddiga-dig-boo.
So it begins. At my signal, unleash hell.
Ladies and gentlemen, George the Giant Slayer.
Welcome, everybody, to Slayer Nation Live. We're talking about it's January 19th, just one day away from the inauguration. We're going to mark that tomorrow morning. It's 2025 in the year of our Lord. How you doing? We are back. We're going to celebrate our 1-year anniversary for the show. We have some amazing human beings who are going to be joining us. And to start it off, I mean, we're talking about Elon Musk's heavy rocket, which was picked up by the chopsticks again. You got Wolfman, which got a C- from CinemaScore. Netflix doubled down on the DEI. And Moana just crossed over the $1 billion mark. And we have also Eggers Nosferatu, an incredible film. Sadly, it's being pulled out of the theaters and it's going to streaming in 2 days. And we got a lot more to talk about. We got Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas herself, who's acting like a mafia boss, sending out letters to people who are donating to the Trump inauguration ball. Plus the California fires. Robert Davi letting everybody have it. But we're going to get to that in a moment. First, we got 2 amazing Slayers who've now come in, and they're just starting out the stream hot. We got Skiz Spivak. Thank you, Skiz. He gifted 20 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. You got a beautiful soul, my friend. We got Aaron Chapman gifted 1. Please go thank him. And we got Tender Warrior. Thank you, Tender Warrior. All of you are amazing. Skiz sends in for 10 Canadian dollars. Happy Slayerversary. Bless you. Olaf, happy 1-year live stream for €6, George. We never give up. We never bend the knee. Always forward. That's Art Decree. And Flying Blind sends in the super sticker along with Dark Hierophant. Incredible person. For $2. Happy anniversary, George. And Eric K., King of the Mods, joins the rest of the mods. Olaf, Lord Thoth. Again, wonderful human beings. He gifted 5 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. Thank you all. Bless you. Now, let's just get going. Fuel those flamethrowers. We're going to have facts. We're going to have fun. We're going to roast the hell out of stupid. Let's bring them all out here. We got Critical Drinker.
Hello, sir.
How you doing, my friend? We got Verbal Riot, Tom from Midnight's Edge, and Mauler. The Long Man is here.
Hello.
Hello, gentlemen. Great to see you all. We had a lot of crazy stuff going on this week between the fires and Musk with his rocket. I don't get tired of that ever. Do y'all? Do you ever get tired of just watching that rocket come down?
I sadly missed out on like the 60s and the moon race and all that stuff. But I can only equate it to that. I imagine this is what people must have felt like back then watching that Saturn V rocket take off. It's awe-inspiring every time you see it. It doesn't always go according to plan, as we found out this week, but it's always entertaining one way or the other. And yeah, it's an incredible sight to witness.
Who doesn't love space stuff?
Yeah.
We definitely need more space stuff. Here, he put this together, and I loved it.
It's incredible. It's funny because it totally does not do justice to the sheer size of this thing. Because I understand it, it's like 40 stories tall. It's like watching a skyscraper come into land, and it looks so easy when you see it there. And it's funny because you look at NASA, and God bless their cotton socks. You know, they did great things about 50 years ago. If they were to try and make something like this, we'd be still waiting another 100 years for them to develop it.
I agree. It's you saw Dyson after the first one, Drinker, what he said. He came out 24 hours after the chopsticks grabbed the first one. He's like, this isn't, I'm paraphrasing now, this isn't really impressive. It's something NASA could have done. It's just, they just didn't apply the budget to it. I'm like, it must came out jealous.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like, it's the difference between, you know, say the government was in charge of air travel instead of like commercial airlines. You know, it would probably cost you like $100,000 a ticket to fly from London to New York, and you'd have to wait about 6 years to get your flight. You know, it ultimately needs that entrepreneurship of the private sector to get this stuff really happening and to drive innovation, to drive advancement. You know, as great as NASA certainly has been in the past, they are mired in bureaucracy, they're mired in inertia, and they just don't have the drive to create stuff like this. They haven't had it for decades now, and it's sad to witness, but ultimately someone has to get it done, and if it's Elon Musk, then so be it.
Absolutely. And talk about another amazing feat. Well, hey, I brought out the drinks in your honor. Plus, I've had lately these camera problems, and so I promised everybody today, if the camera goes out for a second, I'll take a shot. But a friend of mine from Greece sent me.
That's a dangerous game, man.
I know it is. I'm going to see if I can last. I saw Drinker.
Oh, no. It's gone down.
Oh, no.
All right, we'll start it off.
It's a dangerous game you're playing, my friend.
I saw Drinker when you did your last one, when you did that show for 2 hours where you're like, it's like $50 as a shot. And you had that whole thing in. And I was like, okay, gotta send him. I'm like, you were like on your sixth one. I'm like, hey, one more.
I pretty soon came to regret that decision.
So here's one.
Cheers, sir.
Oh, wow, that's weird. A friend of mine from Greece brought this over. It's Greek vodka. Ooh, I've never had it. He said, you got to try it once on the show. You know, I gave you a gift. Yeah. Okay.
What does it make?
Review.
Yeah.
What is it? It's made from, distilled from Greek olives and grains.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. You should stick with sheep and olive oil. Yeah, no, I'm Greek, but okay. Talking about Must Heavy Rocket, another amazing feat happened. Gladiator 2. Somehow officially passed the original Gladiator at the global box office with 454 million total, surpassing the original.
Is it really something to brag about, considering how much more it cost than the original one, though?
And it's 20 years later, so inflation completely changed that equation.
But you know,
let's
he's
not
making
forget
a
this
third
movie
one.
cost. Well, that's what he says.
I think even with all of that, everyone's a bit sad that it's done this, isn't it? It's like it's symbolic.
Well, the thing is, like, it could have made $2 billion. It wouldn't change the fact that it's a shit movie.
That's what I said. It's got to be like the world's most expensive straight-to-video sequel ever made. I haven't seen it, but
I saw it. It just drags on forever, and of course, Pedro Pascal happens to be in everything. You know?
Well, the only part that really bugs me about this is, I think at the end of the day, it kind of just. It gives Ridley Scott kind of a boost of encouragement that he shouldn't have right now, because, you know, Ridley Scott, and I'll keep saying this over and over, Ridley Scott is not that guy anymore. So I don't know, man.
You and I will see eye to eye on that.
It's like we had him on the ropes. He was almost out.
He was almost out, man, and this just kind of encourages him to keep going. And it's like, shit.
It makes me wonder, though, if 3 is going to happen, because I don't know if you guys heard, his Bee Gees biopic fell apart over at Paramount too.
No,
so
I didn't.
Makes
You
wonder if they didn't try cutting his budget because of what happened on Gladiator, and he probably walked. That's just my speculation.
Well, yeah, because we got these like behind the scenes exposés from like his assistant director or someone saying like he was just getting really sloppy with directing it. He didn't really care. Like a lot of the time, he wasn't really like paying attention to the shots that were getting filmed.
Right.
And, you know, just as Verbal Riot was saying there, he's just not that guy anymore. And he hasn't been that guy for quite a long time.
Yeah.
He technically hasn't made a success since The Martian.
The Martian, wow, that's a long time ago. That's a long. I miss the original Ridley Scott. I miss the guy, but I just can't see why, if he's moving forward with 3, what the hell does he expect to get out of it? Because he said, you know, it caps it off.
Like I said, it makes me wonder if they're even going to do it. Because it makes me wonder if Paramount, because it's Paramount, same company.
Right.
And if they turned around and told him, we're going to cut your budget on your Bee Gees movie, and he walked, it makes me wonder if part of that wasn't because of how bad. Because let's not beat around the bush. This movie's going to lose money at the end of the day.
Okay.
It costs $330 million that we know of.
So we're talking about Captain America, Brave New World type dollars.
At least. And it only made 400 and some million, and it's done pretty much. It's not going to make much more.
Well, the difference being is that it definitely made more than what Captain America is going to make.
Oh, probably, yeah. In that respect,
easily.
Yes. But budget-wise, you're in the same arena, yeah.
Well, I'm hearing rumors, like when you factor in advertising, the budget for Brave New World is going to get close to 500 million.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Okay, we have somebody else joining us for the celebration. A lot of as someone who was here on the premiere, Gary from the
What's up, fellas?
I recognize you.
I recognize you too. What's your
I
name
don't know
again?
either you guys are.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. No, I mean, it wouldn't be a celebration without all of you. So I really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I was up late last night talking to Mahler.
Yeah.
Jesus.
About Gladiator 2?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
almost Gladiator 2, of course.
Gladiator 2. That's what we were talking about.
That's all they ever talk
What's
about.
up, fellas? What are we talking about?
Wait,
Ridley Scott.
Gladiator 2.
Gladiator
Wrong kid
2?
died.
Who died?
Wrong kid.
Ron
Tony
Kidd.
Scott.
Oh.
Tony Scott.
No.
Okay.
Nick-
I forgot about Gladiator 2 completely.
Yeah, but I was
after
shocked.
did my review.
I was shocked. That's what I was just saying because it just passed Gladiator in box office gross.
Not adjusted for inflation, though.
Not adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
Or budget, as we were just saying. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not adjusting for inflation, it's all BS. It is.
Yeah.
Gone with the Wind, still the #1 movie in the world by a long shot. Probably never ever to be beaten with the amount of tickets sold.
Yeah, like
Well, hang on there, buddy. We got Avengers Doomsday on the way.
Okay.
I think at best it'll break even.
Which Doomsday?
No, Gladiator.
Gladiator.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think about that though? I mean, when you're gonna have the way that Marvel is setting everything up, when you're gonna have Captain America, Brave New World come out, isn't that gonna sink any of their hopes for the Fantastic Four when it's gonna be competing against Gunn Superman?
I still wonder if it's going to get moved.
Well, I mean, like
comes out next month.
Yeah, we'll probably get a trailer for the
I'm
Super
talking
Bowl.
about Fantastic Four.
Yeah, we'll probably. Yeah, that would be a tough one. Because there's a point of pride with that, Tom. They have to because they're coming right out to Superman, and it would look like they were scared of Superman. So I don't know. I've heard I don't you guys judge this to be true that they're trying to water down the put out crap, put out something what they believe is good, then put out what they they have a lot of stuff left over, right? Ironheart, Captain African American. They're feeling pretty good about Thunderbolts. I'm not, but they are. But they also felt pretty good about Agatha all along, to be fair. So
did they?
Really?
They did. Internally,
Wow.
they did. Internally, they did. And I'm like, that was my reaction.
It might only be because Agatha was probably the cheapest to make out of all the other things they've done.
That makes sense, considering episodes where they just drink wine, and chat.
Yeah,
in a
I
room.
mean,
I think they also did the Morbius thing where they misread the meme. Because they thought it
Probably.
was popular and they didn't realize they were being made fun of. Yeah.
The thing is, they passed that point, even of it getting ridiculed, where people just didn't even talk about it. They stopped watching it, and it just fell by the wayside. I have no idea if Agatha was good by the end or not. No one seemed to talk about it.
Well, there's a reason why there were so many reshoots of Captain America 4, right? I mean, it's the story that they had. It was very woke in the beginning. So, I mean, it's probably still going to be woke, but not to the degree it was. So, I think the MCU knows where they're at. They know what's happening. I think it's just that this train has been going on for so long. To try to make corrections now, we're not going to see anything for the next 5 years as far as corrections go. There's a lot of stuff in the pipe that still hasn't even come out yet. So, but I think they realize they messed up. I think they do, but I don't know. It might be too late.
Yeah, I have heard that they're trying to course correct, and certainly at a senior level they are aware of the problem. But like you say, it takes a while to put it right. And apparently, Brave New World is going to be one of the shortest movies they've put out. It's well under 2 hours. When you take all the credits and stuff out of it, it's probably going to be like 1 hour and 45.
Oh wow!
So this is a short movie, and it's probably because they've excised so much of the woke crap from it.
Why not just send it straight to streaming then and save the embarrassment?
Because they made too many deals already.
Yeah, and that's why McDonald's already put out the toys and all that kind of stuff too. And that's what I think is hilarious.
Like putting it out on streaming makes it seem like it's just not an event at all, which they're trying to avoid, right? They want people to at least imagine it might actually be a popular thing or an important thing, but we all know it won't be. And I think they know that too.
They do.
Like the Flash, though, they're contractually obligated. That's what we're saying.
Yeah. I mean,
they can't get out of it.
That's why with streaming, they very much wanted to Batgirl Ironheart, and they very much wanted to Batgirl Echo, and they couldn't.
What do you mean they couldn't? They can't remove it from the slate?
Well, there's twofold. right? There's deals with actors and through agents, even when it's on streaming, that requires them to release it.
Merchandising and other things.
Merchandising and other things too. Number two is it would make them look really effing bad.
Yeah.
You are shit canning the black lead of the quote unquote Iron Man replacement, and you're shit canning a Native American who's deaf and an amputee. And I mean, like,
because they can say as well, if this fails, it's like, well, I guess the country isn't interested in a black superhero, huh? That's what that is, huh?
Well, that's what David Gabriel said way back in the day, to go back in the lore of comic books, when retailers started shouting, because comic books were the canary in the coal mine for all this stuff. So David Gabriel from Marvel goes to a retailer summit. And the retailer's like, all this gender swapping and making everybody gay, and this is back in 2017. Like, it's not selling. We can't do this. And David Gabriel went out and, like, very unquietly threw all those retailers under the bus, going, well, I guess certain retailers just don't like black people. I mean, that's essentially what he said, right? They're against diversity. And that would be what they fear in Hollywood still, like, even now. So, and that's Disney's fault for letting that wolf in the door. And it's what Drink was just talking about. When we see real change with the MCU, is not even, it's going to be after Secret Wars, because Fantastic Four is called First Steps for a reason. It's first steps towards a soft reboot, where you're going to do what they did in Secret Wars, the comic books, lightly, is merge some worlds, right? Kind of like DC's Convergence. Because Fantastic Four is going to be in another universe, in another multiverse, and we still have lots of multiverse to go. So we're looking at 2030, when they have to eventually recast Captain America, Steve Rogers, recast Iron Man, recast Thor, recast Hulk, and do all that to get it going again, which initially Kevin Feige said would be a failure if they did that.
Why not just bring in Bucky? Why not just bring in Bucky as Captain America, like they did?
Well, he should have been a logical choice, to be honest.
I've been doing that.
He had a run in the comics for like a year or so, and then it got passed on to like Sam Wilson. And he is, like you said, a logical choice. He's got like way more history.
When did it get passed on? So what, 15?
I loved Bucky's run as Cap.
Oh yeah. The Brubaker run was awesome. It was great, and everybody in the shop loved it. Everybody.
And when everybody,
I'll be honest, I'd much rather have U.S. Agent be the Captain America than Sam Wilson.
Well,
and look, and I say that because I say that mainly because I think Falcon is a good character. We didn't need Falcon to become Captain America. Falcon has been around for a very long time, guys. I mean, I'm not gonna say one of the originals, but he was there with Cap from the beginning, almost. As far as his new run, and to see, the thing is, I don't know who they're catering to. Black people we don't care. We're not going to go see the movie because you changed the character to a black actor. We're not going to judge it on that. We don't care about that, right? We don't need a black Peter Parker. We don't need a black Bruce Wayne. We don't need that shit. Like, how about just create new characters? Create new original black characters. Yeah, black people showed out for Black Panther because Black Panther is an original black character. You know what I mean? And that's what we want to see.
Well, that's the mistake they made with both Wonder Woman. They saw Wonder Woman and Black Panther and like, well, we could do that with every character, without considering the context of Wonder Woman had been, Wonder Woman for decades, Black Panther original character for decades, and the gender swap. They just like, well, what's the difference? It's just a mantle, and that's their ignorance of fandom and what's gone on before. But you're right. Like, John Walker was Captain America for a while, right? Before he became U.S. agent.
He was.
So
trained by the Taskmaster.
Yep.
Well, what's funny too is, for anybody who actually watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so like two people here maybe, they, despite their intentions, what they wrote was that Falcon stole the shield from who was provided the shield, like, officially, and the person who was provided it officially decided to try and make his own shield, right, which was supposed to be some sort of deranged, he's obsessed and he wants the status, like John Walker, that was the character, until he's faced with a moment where he can get his revenge against those that killed his best friend in the line of duty, or he can save a whole bunch of, like, I think they were like senators or something in a big truck that's fallen off like a cliff thing thanks to the flag smashes. And he, if I remember correctly, drops the shield to save those people. He has like the hero moment, proving himself to be like probably the best person to take up the mantle of Captain America. They wrote that You know, like I don't know what the fuck they were doing because it made me think, like, yeah, he probably should take it at this point.
Yeah.
The way they launched Falcon as the new Captain America was like the worst way to possibly handle it, because you got this show that was pretty widely criticized, and it was really infused with the kind of racial politics that were all the rage at the time, and made him quite an unlikable character, and like he's siding with terrorists and stuff. It's like, I don't really identify with this guy at all. And then they do nothing with him. He just vanishes for the next like 3-4 years, and now he's coming back with another movie. Like that's way too long to have left him just gathering dust on a shelf as a character.
And as you said, Drinker, there's a point in the show where he's all he literally sympathizes with the terrorists. He's all, they have a point, you know. It's
he says you shouldn't call them terrorists.
Yes.
They blow up innocent people for a political cause. Like that's really the definition of a terrorist.
People for political means.
Oh, and let's see what Derek thinks. The DA joins us now. Hey, Derek.
Yo, what's good, fellas? How's everybody hanging?
Great to see you.
As long as the shield was less than $1,000, it's not a crime, guys.
Yeah, you saw those girls in LA. It was a video that was around a month ago, and those two girls who had been going back and forth to different malls, you know, ripping them off, going, you know, taking about $850 worth, and then they finally get arrested, and they're in the back. The video shows them in the back of the patrol car.
A felony now.
Yeah, and they're like,
well, no, they were in Orange County.
Yeah,
they were in
like,
Orange County, and Orange
on?
County don't play them games.
Oh, see, doesn't play. No, it
but
doesn't.
they were sitting there going like, what the hell is going on? They're like, you're arrested. For what? You stole. And they're like,
yeah, if you're gonna pull that kind of shit in California, Orange County's like the last place to do that.
You do not want to do that in Orange County.
Orange County's like the last bastion of like sanity here in California.
Orange County and North County, San Diego. Yeah.
Yes.
Which are essentially the same thing.
I almost feel like there is some sanity, and it's going to take some movies a little bit longer. They can edit some things out. They can reshoot some things. But seeing some of the clips from Saturday Night Live last night made me feel pretty good, because it feels like they are starting to realize how stupid they've been. I don't know if you guys saw any of that, especially like Dave Chappelle's intro. It was great.
I think we're quite rapidly moving into the "I was on your side the whole time."
Oh yeah,
oh yeah. Well, I was always against this woke stuff. That was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This is where I'm almost like,
that's
you know
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Guys like Mark Hamill are retarded beyond belief, but you've almost got to respect them a little bit more in that case, because they at least stick to their guns, even though the whole world's like just mocking them. Whereas those people who are just like fair weather political activists are just like, oh, the winds have shifted. Well, it's time for me to pretend that I was on the other side the whole time.
It's like that Homer Simpson's meme where they blend into the bushes and then they come back out as an entirely new person, new hat on and everything.
See, I'm mega. I was a double. I was here working against them the whole time.
I'll put it to you this way: Pride Month is going to be very different this year.
Oh yeah,
than it was last year.
Big time.
Well, it looks
back
like
to being
Netflix.
Pride weekend. That's what it needs to just be. That's what it started.
That's what it used to be.
Then it turned into Pride year.
I
say.
Pride used to be just one weekend, man. One weekend of debauchery, and then that was it.
You know, I left San Francisco every Pride weekend. We just booked it. We went camping or something. It's just like later. It's all yours. But yeah, it's gotten a little out of hand, so I think that's going to get dialed back.
Except Netflix. I've been reading that Netflix is doubling down on DEI for some reason this year. It's like there's this new report came out. It said Netflix released a first of its kind diversity study Friday to analyze the makeup of Netflix on-screen talent, as well as the behind-the-camera creators, producers, writers, and directors. The report shows that the company has made progress, but still has more work to do to close diversity gaps.
Isn't this the same thing they reported like 2 years ago?
Yep. And they did last week. And they're like, no, we're moving forward. Because they asked them, are you going to be changing the same way that Bezos is changing, the same way that Zuckerberg is changing with the new Trump administration? Are you going to be doing anything different? And they're like, no comment. And then they put out the statement that these are the diversity programs we have. We need to make sure that everybody is seen behind the camera and in front of the camera.
The problem is, though, is that Netflix...
They always use the exact same terminology every time. It's always, we've made great progress, but there's so much more to do. There's always so much more to do. No matter how much you've done, no matter how far you've gone, you have to go further every time. It's like they're reading off the same script. I always find that interesting.
Because they are.
But what do you think? But they're tone deaf to the moment, or what?
it's not that they're tone deaf, man. I think that Netflix operates on a completely different level than everybody else, man. Netflix can afford to look.
Yeah.
They could go full woke or not, and Netflix would make the same amount of money that they're making right now.
Yeah, they are the big dog. Absolutely, they run Hollywood right now. And they do stuff that's counterintuitive. Like, they would make more money if they release stuff weekly. They would make more money if they release their movies in theaters. Because what the hell, you weren't going to do it anyway. So if you make $1, that was $1 more than you were going to make before. And they don't have like financially looking at it as a businessman. I don't agree with this, but as a businessman, why would they change? Like what Dante just said, they have no reason to change. Because
that's where Amazon
so
might jump ahead of them, because Amazon's actually embracing the theatrical model first, right? And this is where we've been saying, like, even though Red One didn't make all that much money at the box office, it's still going to do very well for Amazon, because all that really is at the end of the day is just an advertisement for their streaming service.
Yeah, and we're also finding out that a movie going into a theater does not hurt the streaming numbers. Actually, it helps them.
It helps.
Yeah.
And that's what we were trying to say. That goes back to when I was in video. Like, that was the whole thing, is there was movies like they would notoriously release in a theater or two for a weekend just so they could say in the advertisement they would send us that it was a theatrical release.
Yes.
And they could boost the price on the videotape.
It made a huge, you're right. It made a huge difference. Even if it was like in New York and LA for a week or a day, it's different than direct to video, just because the public perception of it that time. Hey, Boondock Saints. Boondock Saints barely got in the theaters because of Columbine. We had Troy Duffy on, and that thing, but he had a Blockbuster deal, and it was released like it was a new release, like a theatrical new release, and that's what helped. Well, also it was really fucking good.
When the hell is Boondock Saints 3 coming out?
They're working on it. He's a producer, but he sold the rights off to the John Wick people. So John Wick people are doing Boondock Saints, but they are bringing back Patrick Flannery.
Oh, nice.
And I'm blanking on his name now.
Yeah, the other one.
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus.
Drinker. This is what happens when you get old. Okay.
Sorry,
it's going to happen to you sooner with all that alcohol you drink.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, it's not the age so much as it was the drugs, man. I'll tell you that right
Okay,
now.
that's true. But I digress. Yeah, so they're going to do a 3. I think it's in early production right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just saw Flannery in a film he did, Nefarious. Have you seen that, Nefarious?
Yes.
It does.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, Nefarious was good.
He was awesome.
To see it. I haven't seen RRR yet. Sorry, Chris.
We also got Paul Chato is joining us.
Paul
Oh my God, I miss you, Paul. Get back. Come on, man. Get back on X. It sucks not seeing you there.
He can't be on X. We got to get him back on.
Yeah. All because you told somebody, what was it, to suck a dick or something?
I said it sounds like you're talking with 2 dicks in your mouth.
That's probably
that's what got you banned, huh?
I break the unwritten law. And I've transgressed the unwritten
So if
law.
you would have said it was just 1 dick, you wouldn't.
I was going to say, 1 dick is fine. You went 2 dicks too far.
Fuck, you got Bonnie Blue up there who's sleeping with 100,056 men.
All over Twitter with stuff on her face, dude. Like,
Look, this shit. You want to impress me? Find a guy who can get 100 women to sleep with him in one day. That would impress me. And it can't be no Henry Cavill motherfucking looking either. It's got to be like a 7 like these.
I'm gonna put you like this. There's no man that could do that. So let's.
Depends on how much money he has.
It's not going to
There's not enough Viagra in the world.
Yeah. And apparently there are women out there with 2 dicks. So.
Or that.
And Klingon too.
To that conversation.
Yeah. Wow. Did you see that? She released, there was a couple that tried to copy her. Her husband is a cinematographer, and she decided that they would go to Turkey.
Her husband.
Yeah. Her husband. Yeah. Her pimp.
Yeah.
And she got arrested. Of course, they wanted to sleep with. She wanted to sleep with 100 men while he filmed it. It took like 5 seconds in Turkey. Yeah, it was hilarious.
Wow. The thing is, like, what is achieved ultimately with this? Like, okay, you got a woman who sleeps with 1,000 guys in a day. Well, the next woman's going to sleep with 1,001, and so on and so forth. Like, I don't feel like you've added to humanity in any reasonable way here.
Well, it's become a spectator sport, man. It's like I said earlier in the week. This is like the Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa, right? Of sex trade, right? It's right. Like we're trying to see who gets the record here, man. I mean,
I'm late to the outhold the other hoe. Like that's crazy.
The Barry Bonds is going to come along later. And
yeah, exactly. We want to see who gets the record.
Now here she is, but they tried to pull it in Turkey. In Turkey, of all places, it's just.
Well, there's celebration.
You should have tried Saudi Arabia or Mauritania or someplace. You know, God.
I mean, let's just continue to celebrate.
Got arrested.
How easy it is to be a fucking whore. I mean, that's really what this boils down to. And it's what's even more pathetic is the guys that are lining up to be a part of this too. It's like,
I cannot imagine what the atmosphere in that waiting room must have been like. What do you converse about there? Like,
small talk.
You've given up on life too, huh?
There was that sad, pathetic one who had the flowers and candy and shit for, dude.
Oh man,
he's like, I'm here. No, but she showed it.
That's like a really good sketch comedy joke when they're all in the room, they're all naked, and they for like 5 minutes of silence. The woman just goes, "Do you think he should be Captain America, or do you think it should be Bucky?"
Yeah, what kind of conversations go on during this shit? Like,
I think there's something worse. What's worse is they only have a choice of House and Garden magazine on the waiting table.
Oh, it's like a dentist office.
It's worse than a dentist office.
Or Kathleen Kennedy was
National
the
Geographics.
At least in the dentist office, you might get people.
No, but the thing is she released some clip on X where she's like, "Do you want to see what the room looked like afterwards?" And she's walking around, and there's just it's like, stop. So 1,050 somebody, but it's like 1,056 men in 12 hours. It's 40 seconds per man.
I mean, that's efficiency right there.
I mean, you're like,
Wilt Chamberlain would be proud.
There was another girl, and I think she only did like 100 in 20
Lily
hours.
Phillips.
That was some rookie numbers right there. But she was getting interviewed.
She was the one walking around with all the shit on her face, right?
She did 1,000 of them too, though.
She was interviewed afterwards, and she looked like a World War I soldier that had just come back from the trenches. She had this like shell-shocked look about her, like, I can't believe what just happened.
Well, that's the same one who didn't know that HIV was transmitted sexually, right?
That's her.
Yep. All quiet on the Western cunt.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry.
Apparently that was constantly wind flapping.
The 100 men was training purposes. So
training.
No, she did over 1,000. I thought she did.
She was planning to go for 1,000, but then
somebody beat her.
Yeah,
man. Wow.
This is why we gave women the rights, right?
This is why people stormed the beaches of Normandy. Yeah, it's like.
No, I mean, I
all the
feminists tweet about this. It's like some people build space rockets, some people cure cancer, other people just lay on their back and let 1,000 guys fuck them. I mean, you know, humans are an interesting bunch, aren't they?
I know, but what is going through her? I mean, besides, because she's like, I'm making $700,000 a month. But at some point, if she ever decides to have a kid, could you imagine being that kid when you're 14 or 15? I mean, at least when I was in high school, anything your parents did would, you'd be ribbed for. I mean, it'd be like, look, your mom.
That kid's going to be born at like 3 months or something. Like, right
I mean, that's going to be the easiest delivery ever, man.
Are you kidding? He's going to be her next cameraman.
Oh,
yeah.
That baby's going to shoot right out.
I used to
walk out like Vince McMahon, you know?
Yeah. When I used to write stand-up, I used to have a bit about how all these kids who are going to deal with finding their moms on these Girls Gone Wild videos in the future. That has just opened up astronomically with the internet. That joke went to the wayside years ago because of the internet.
You thought bullying was bad when we were kids. Woo!
Because every mother has an
OnlyFans.
She could have single-handedly stopped the grooming gang problem.
Oh, she could have. Paul.
No, Paul, she's too old.
Since we're talking about that.
Yeah, she might be too old.
I'm really curious to think what everybody what are they saying, Drinker, over in the UK, in Scotland? What are they saying about the fires in California? I've been really interested to hear your take.
It's like the Scottish Parliament's debating it and stuff.
Before you get to that, though, DeLu is right. This is how you get Freddy Krueger.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that is Freddy Krueger's backstory. That's true.
The son of the 100 maniacs, exactly.
In terms of the fires, like we're still trying to wrap our heads around the idea that like fires can just burn out in the wild. Like we don't understand it because it's like normally they get rained on after like the first 5 minutes.
It doesn't rain every fucking day.
I know, yeah.
I mean, that's
we don't
part
get
of the problem. Yeah. But when it does rain, places like California don't do things like collect water. Now, I don't want to sound like, according to Bill Burr, one of those internet experts about fire. But I would argue that you need water to fight a fire.
Yeah, you had that reservoir.
logical,
It holds 117 million gallons of water, and they didn't, and it was dry because it had a couple of holes in the tarp because birds shit on it, and it had the 3 backup reservoirs with 1 million gallons each. I mean, it's like,
yeah, they were trying
to. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, right? Isn't LA next to the ocean? So
yeah, desalination plants.
That's quite a lot of water you've got right there.
Coastal Commission shot all those down.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yep.
And they got prisoners. You got this AP article that came out on LA fire lines. Inmates shoulder heavy packs and tackle dangerous work for less than 30 a day. There are people actually complaining about it.
Yeah, you know what? The kind of people who voted in fucking Karen Bass, Mayor Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom are complaining about this shit. Who know shit about shit? It's usually woke white women, by the way, bane of our existence, and a huge. Well, I mean, hey, look at the LA county county board of supervisors. All 5 of them are women. Now, not saying women can't do it, but it's kind of strange that they really wanted to have a female mayor, a female fire chief, all female. And look at the ladies are getting it done, especially the one who was in charge of the water, who makes almost $1 million a fucking year. So as far as this inmate thing, I tweeted about it, but dude, I was an inmate firefighter for a year. I fought 6 fires. And the rest of the time we were clearing brush. That was our fucking job. We had to train for it. We had to equal the training of CDF firefighters. Not everybody could pass. It was a voluntary program to where when you are fighting a fire, you can make $1 an hour, which back then was fucking awesome. I was loaded with smokes and top ramens and everything I could buy from the prison store. And after every fire, we'd get a steak dinner. And we breathe the free air, and occasionally we'd see the girls cut in line from Camp Rainbow. We'd be kind of close to them. It's like, ooh, girls. And we'd see, like, we were just outside. We were fucking happy to do it. All of us were happy. Nobody's complaining about the pay. Actually, we were like, holy shit, we get $1 an hour. And anybody complaining about that, just keep in mind, we were in there for a reason. We were locked up for crimes. Save it for the victims of crimes. And those victims of crimes still had to pay tax dollars to house, feed, and yes, entertain via weights, racquetball courts, and the prisoners that committed crimes for them.
So you had a good time, is what you're saying.
I didn't have a great, I mean, it was better than being in. Like, it's better than the alternative. It's really fucking hard work. And I was still locked up. So like we got to go outside, but actually fighting the fire was fucking hard work. It was just really hard work. But it was better than being locked up and sitting on your ass. And any inmate can choose at any time if they just want to sit on their ass and play peanut.
Yeah, like that's the takeaway to me is that it's a voluntary program. It's not like these are slaves that you're in, you've indoctrinated them and dragged them into this, fire den of hell to work on this fire. It's like, no, this is, you can choose to do this or not do this. So I've never understood the argument that these guys are somehow being, victimized because, they chose to, help fight fires, which is, kind of solid. I like that. But
I think white inmates should be paid reparations.
Ah, there you go.
I learned an interesting fact this week as well. If I was to like pass out in a fire and need to be carried out, it's my fault, and I got myself into the wrong place.
You shouldn't have been in that place in the first place.
And you know what the biggest problem with that is? Nothing's going to change here. Nothing's going to change.
Oh, come on, it's going to change. You even have what's his name?
I have friends who are on the LAFD who are firefighters, and they've told me that basically they have to take up 90% of the slack of the females on their squad.
So you're going to tell me that Harry
90% of the slack they have to take up.
So this is going to continue.
This is going to continue. Yes,
you want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Wow. Also, I have to say this. I still don't know if that's a man or a woman.
I still
It's
don't know.
a hairy.
I have no
Like,
idea.
let me ask this question:
if
like,
that
what
is
if
a man
you're
or a woman?
What if your husband? What if the husband that they got to carry out of a fire is disabled? Did he get himself
Right.
into that position? You know, I fucking hate that commercial, man.
He
That's
shouldn't
the
have been
dumbest shit I've ever seen
disabled.
in my life.
The
I think it's
Babylon
the perfect
Bee.
one. I think it's perfect. It shows the DEI mentality.
The Babylon Bee have a sketch on that where a disabled person waited for a fireman in a wheelchair to show up, and he couldn't reach the door and couldn't reach the hydrant because the curb was in the way, and the guy finally, I think, burned to death.
Of course. Look, we have that
So
problem.
did he bypass all like the regular able firemen that came like, nah, you don't look like me. You don't rock with me. I don't want you to save me.
I'm not allowed to rescue this person. We need the wheelchair guy.
I got to tell you, in Texas, for as red as we are, our cities, our main cities, Houston, Dallas, Austin, are radical left as hell. I mean, we have that problem in Houston. I've said it last week. We have firefighters. We have women that they started in 2008 to 2012. They said they have to be frontline firefighters. So they had to change the entire training program because they all kept failing. Because they're supposed to pick up.
They have to lower the bar.
A 220-pound dummy which is a fireman they're showing him with a full pack and tank on, and the women couldn't do it, so they lowered it to 35 pounds, and that's the only way they could pass. It's like, so nobody wanted to work with them. I love women, but it's like there are some shit they can't do.
Well, also the firefighters, the males, from what I've been told as well, that if they do speak out about it, their pensions are being threatened.
Oh yeah, they're drop time.
They go out of their way to make sure that this is going to happen, and that's why I'm saying here in LA, is nothing's going to change. The only thing that might change is Karen Bass might be the fall woman in this.
Oh shoot!
Like, because someone has to take the blame, right? It's not going to be Newsom because he's a fucking asshole, but she'll be the one.
Career's over.
I think she'll be the one to take the fall.
There's there's other stuff with her too. There's already a scandal out there about her
the bribes,
misappropriating tax funds, and taking bribes. So
and
Oakland mayor is going through the exact same thing right now. By the way,
wasn't she recalled or being recalled?
Yeah, she's out of here.
Yeah, I think maybe she's gone by now.
I don't know. She might have made it. But
Yeah.
She was recalled.
Dude, I totally missed London Breed got voted out of office. I was I was so caught up in everything in November. I'm like, oh, that bitch is gone. Yes.
Ron Coleman is now joining us. Ron.
Eventually.
Ron.
I'm trying to.
Ron.
Hey, Ron.
He's in a
Happy
car.
anniversary. I pulled
You're
off.
He pulled off.
Don't tell me I pulled. Yeah,
Gotta have a good
I feel
pull-off
much
game.
better. I feel much better now. I pulled off the highway to visit. I'm going to visit my mom. Okay.
Yeah, mom's
my mom. But I don't want to miss this anniversary moment.
Thank you,
so I pulled off the highway, stopped into the 7-Eleven, got a coffee, and here I am from sunny Florida to welcome you to your second year.
Thank you.
Success.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. No bagel, no lox, no cream cheese.
From 7-Eleven?
I know. Well, come on. Some of them have them. It's not good, but it's like the
It's
sushi.
South Florida. I'm gonna do very well. Don't worry. I'm hungry. I'm not gonna go.
I just introduced my nieces to lox the other day, and they were like, "This is good." I'm like, "Okay, well, you're part of the
You know,
tribe,
you're
right?"
not really. It's not really lox. You know that. It's Nova Scotia salmon. Lox. I mean, it's smoked salmon. Lox is pickled salmon,
Gotcha.
which nobody wants. It's like it's just fine that it's not the authentic thing. Everyone's just fine with that. So I heard you guys were having the really up to date DEI discussion. You got the leading edge here. Leading edge.
What do you think about remember last week we were talking about Square Enix and her new harassment policies for their for their games and all the craziness? Do you remember that?
It's amazing. It's amazing to me that this stuff is still coming out. I mean, let's put it this way. There's 24 hours. There's less than 24 hours left in the Biden presidency.
Right.
Thank God.
He's gonna do something incredibly crooked.
He hasn't already?
He has done it.
No,
every day.
I mean something he hasn't. Something new. Something he's gonna spring on. One. Don't be surprised if he frees everyone who's being held in Guantanamo.
I'm not surprised. He tried to ban menthol
He's already
cigarettes.
pardoned like 2,000 people or something like that. Yeah.
It's nuts. the Square Enix. Did you see that, Drinker Mahler? Did y'all see that last
Yeah, I
week?
saw
So what's the gist of it?
Well, basically, Square Enix came out and they said we've had enough of people harassing our video games, our staff, our developers. So we're putting in a new harassment policy. But we went through it line by line. Some of it is like, if you complain too much, if you want a refund for your game, if you are annoyed by a game developer, anyone of these things,
this is
we're
a
gonna
policy
sue
they're
you
imposing on the entire universe.
Right. We're going to file, they said, we're going to try to find you to not only go after you, block you from all our network, but we're going to go for criminal charges. And they went through this whole list. If you ask for a refund for your game too many times, if you complain about the game too many times, if you complain about our company too many times. But this week, the original Japanese version, there were people who wrote up what they were actually targeting. And it says, interesting, the Japanese version of the announcement differs slightly from the English one in some respects. One key difference is that it specifically mentions harassment through forums, social media, and video distribution sites. Basically, they're going after the YouTubers. Continuing the discussion, other posters point out that it's many YouTubers who had flaming videos, heavily criticizing Final Fantasy 16 in particular. So they want to stop all the videos because they're saying, they're clickbait, they're demeaning. They actually hurt people's lives. That's what their policy said. People are mentally hurt and they cannot live in a healthy environment with people degrading their work.
Good luck squaring that with like fair use and fair criticism, because like that's the whole point of reviewers. And for the record, Final Fantasy 16 does kind of suck. I've completed it. And it's not good.
It's just at the level they're going after, because the first time they said, we're going to bar anyone who wants their video, who wants to refund it, who complains about the game, and criminal charges. That's when I was asking Ron. There's no way they could pursue criminal charges.
No, they can't. And they're, the magic word they use is harm. In other words, it's this idea that you can be. This comes right out of the classic Marxist DEI stuff. Stochastic terrorism, right? You're harming people by triggering them, by micro triggering them. But it's insane, and it's the end of the cycle. These guys are playing out the end of this because it's all coming crashing down, as you know, and as we discussed last week. There's nowhere for them to go. It's a last splurge for them to exert some semblance of control. I think, as we have observed, the market is being heard, and they got nowhere to go.
We also got one more person. Thank you for that, Ron. We got Chris Gore joining us.
Hey,
hey man.
Hey, Chris.
From here, and I thank you for showing up.
Hello.
Hey.
Let me join the sausage party here. What's going on, guys?
Where's the birthday?
We're going to have tomorrow. There'll be some girls. We're going to do an inauguration stream.
Sure. Love it.
Yeah. So how you doing? We were just talking about the LA fires and how people were complaining that they were using prisoners to put out the fires. How's it going over there for you and what you're seeing?
I mean, it's ash. There's ash in the air. My patio is very dusty, and breathing. Yeah, I do recommend. It's weird. Dante and I were talking. It's the first time we've voluntarily worn masks. Actually, it does help to keep, because I was blowing my nose.
They finally have a use.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's fine. I'm fine. I got away scot-free, but I know a lot of people who lost their homes.
Yeah,
Every
same.
time I look at Instagram, another friend lost everything. It's sick. Will politics in California change? I'm not sure. Maybe Karen Bass. I was listening earlier. Yeah, he'll probably go down because there's other stuff with her. But Newsom is probably going to run for president. I mean, F that guy. I've hated him forever. But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm glad I'm here for this isn't some dumb gay birthday stream, is it? It's an anniversary stream.
It's an anniversary stream.
All right. Anniversary stream, I'm in.
Yeah,
birthday stream.
Yeah, I got you. You don't do the birthday stream because that's weird. I get you. No problem. But you don't think Gruesome Newsom's goose is cooked after this?
No, man.
No way to recover.
Gavin's going to skate right through this.
I'm talking about the United States. Forget California. That's a different
Oh,
world.
hell no. There's
How
no
can
way
he
in
run
hell
for president? There's no way he gets the nomination.
No way.
Yeah, I think his national political ambitions are over, and that's for the good thing. He's the guy that
That's
gets his
Gary's
hand-
line.
Yeah, he's the guy in who. Oh fuck it, I don't know, dude. I'm exhausted.
Are the fires out?
Not all of them.
No, they're not. The Palisades is gone like a nuclear bomb went off. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, I had
Horrible.
a friend of mine. I had a friend of mine whose family lost their home in the Palisades, and she went on ABC Australia. I shared the video the other day, and she was talking about how it was devastating. There was no one around to put out the fires. And then the story comes out that the firemen took 45 minutes to actually show up. And they were explaining how every minute exponentially ups the damage, not only to the property, but to life. And then you get that asshole Bill Burr. I used to like Bill Burr. What that shit that he put out, and I'm like, was this guy always woke, or did he go woke with his wife? Because I found the clip where you had President Trump, and all of a sudden she's sitting there, shooting fingers at him 5 feet away, and I'm like, what's up with Bill Burr? It took me a little bit by surprise.
I've liked him for years. I feel like he calls out woke stuff, but in the last year or two, he has gone way the other way, and in a stupid. I mean, what he said on Kimmel was dumb.
Right.
Oh, I can tell you exactly. I can tell you exactly what it is, man. Before Bill Burr was just doing stand-up comedy, but now he's trying to be a movie star. He's trying to be in movies, and he's trying to play ball. He's trying to show them, hey, I'm on the team. So that's the Bill. Look, he's probably always been a little woke, but
he even said it himself during the Gina Carano thing. He was trying not to get canceled himself.
Yeah.
Yes. No, you're right. You're right, Dante. He passed an audition. He passed an audition.
Yeah.
He will not lose he will gain jobs from what he said in Hollywood. Absolutely.
So does that mean he's not coming today, George?
No, he's not coming today. But you don't think Gary that it's going to cost him fans?
It's going to cost him fans, but I don't think he gives a shit. He's got a Hulu special coming out on Hulu. He's going to start getting roles playing Bill Burr and everything because that's all he can play is Bill Burr and everything. Yeah. And he's
like the next Howard Stern.
Yeah, he is. He's on a Howard Stern arc. But the thing is, he's all. If you go back to the Anthony Cumia days and why, he literally sat down, because he used to go on Opie and Anthony, right? And used to join Anthony Cumia all the time. But then once Anthony Cumia got in his little trouble, he had to sit down and goes, "I can't talk to you anymore." And straight up, like old friend, helped him with his career. Just, I can't talk to you anymore. And it's like. And it was over, Anthony getting canceled. So if he tells the story much better than I can. That's the kind of dude he is. Also, he had these shit takes on fucking masks and during COVID.
Oh God, he's the kind of guy who was probably like quadruple. Yeah.
Well, he's allowed his takes. I mean, he's
Sure.
just allowed to, say what he has to say. But but he's gotten less funny. I think that's the main.
He's toned down though to the situation. He announced his Hulu special the night of the fires. I mean, it's like talk about competing with Harry and Meghan, who went out to the evacuation.
Oh my God!
They went out right into the evacuation. So it's like, and Harry brought up, it's like some gentleman wanted a donut. So it's like, okay, he delivered a donut to him. So
I wonder if the Hulu thing. I wonder if the Hulu thing was an issue because he was exclusively on Netflix. And now if he's like, maybe he got let go from Netflix and he's on Hulu, which we know who owns Hulu, right? That's a very
but with Netflix
that we have talked about.
With Netflix, you sign certain deals, right? So I mean, he probably had like maybe a 2-show deal, 3-show deal, and once that deal's over, I mean, they choose whether they're going to re-sign or not. So they probably just decided not to re-sign with him.
Well, Hulu probably saw that comedy specials were doing really well on Netflix. Joe Rogan just did a live one, so they're like, oh, we got to try that too. There's probably some of that. And we need to find our Joe Rogan, and it's going to be Bill Burr. That's what they're going to try to push.
If he had stayed the way he was, I could see that.
No, Bill Burr went the same way as Seth Rogen, right? Like when Seth Rogen, disowned James Franco, who he'd been buddies with for like the past 20 years. It's to save the career, right? And that's kind of what Bill Burr's doing too.
Right, but Dante, you know what I would say? It's like he picked the wrong time. That's why I'll say again, tone deaf. Right now, authenticity is the only flex. Honesty is the only true.
Well, for us, yes, but we're still talking about Hollywood here, man. Hollywood learns their lessons a lot slower.
Hollywood's like 5,
Hey,
10
come
years
on,
behind
they-
that.
Yeah, they're
yeah.
right. Like when you guys were saying, like
They
he will
just
gain
knocked
roles out of
Rachel
this
Maddow
within
down
Hollywood,
by
and it
$5
almost
million.
doesn't matter what the public perception of him is. What matters is the casting director's perception of him, the agent's perception of him, the producer's perception of him. That's what will get him roles.
Yeah, but how long
that's
does
the sad
that
reality.
A little weird.
How
that
long does
even-
that? How long can you continue to go against what most people in the public want before your entire reputation just gets completely ruined and soured?
Yeah,
and now
bad
people don't want
timing
to
on
go
this
to your
heel
shit,
turn.
even if you are loved amongst Hollywood. Hollywood loves you, but everybody else in America can't stand you.
Oh, sure. I mean, he's climbing aboard a sinking ship. Like he's
Yeah.
the worst possible time for this. But in the short term, it probably will yield some benefits to
Yeah,
him.
short term in Hollywood, you know, a bad month for them would be a good year for us, you know. So,
But then, what do you think of? Then, what do you think, Ron? Though, talking about a bad time for Hollywood is a good time for us, right? Except now, what do you think about Trump sending out? You know, he got Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, and John Voight to help him as his ambassadors to
What does that
perfect
mean?
I know.
Hollywood.
What is a Hollywood ambassador?
Actually, I'm looking into this because I'm writing a
Do they have
story on it
special
right
powers?
So what they're
Fire
supposed to be doing, I guess, is they're going to be going out to try and bring productions that have left the U.S. back into the U.S. And I don't think it's going to really do a whole lot, but
he wants to make a statement. He wants to make a statement about woke Hollywood and cancellation.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
that's all it is.
That's really
it's
what
symbolic,
it is.
and there's nothing wrong with that. He's got the bully pulpit. Of course, it's silly, but everything involving Hollywood is silly, right?
Yeah. But you don't think it'll make a difference? Because this was the first time I remember when he was in office in 2016. The Hollywood didn't send him any, congratulations on being the president, but you had the Film Association and I think the Academy congratulated him. We congratulate the 47th, president-elect and blah, 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 blah. And he's been getting a lot more.
I think Hollywood's been cowed to a certain extent at the moment, but they still fucking hate him. Like, let's not be under any illusions there.
Yeah.
I think perhaps his rationale is like this will encourage other closet conservatives within Hollywood to come out and make themselves known and perhaps help to shift the culture within the industry. I don't think that's going to work. I think whoever is like that within Hollywood will still be shit scared and will not speak out about it publicly, even if they've got these ambassadors there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you got to realize, man, is Hollywood, there are way more Cynthia Rivos than there are Sylvester Stallones.
What about Justin
Bateman? I hate to
Bateman?
say that, but it's true.
What about Bateman's and Zachary Levi?
Again,
and
small
Chris Pratt?
percentage, a very small percentage of people in Hollywood.
When Trump reaches out to Drinker and Gary, okay, then we can be impressed.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Trump is the master troller and negotiator. So, like with Greenland and wanting to make Canada the 51st state and talking about the Panama Canal and sending ambassadors. Yeah, I want to see freaking Sly put on his Rambo gear and go into freaking Hollywood and just burn it. But what it does, it gets them to freak out over. That was that Tom, you were talking. They did an SNL skit with Rachel Maddow, and they proved the point of what he does is he puts out these what sound like crazy statements. It gets everybody talking about that statement, but what it really does is it brings change in that area. It brings people to the table in that area. There's this whole, tariff battle between us and Canada. It's just going to get Canada to the fucking table and maybe start paying for some of the stuff that we've been flipping the bill for forever. This is just to troll Hollywood, as you all know. You all know this, and it's fucking hilarious. Mel Gibson didn't even know. He's like, I found out on social media. But
he is setting up sound stages in Greenland. I mean, that is on.
He wants Greenland. He wants Greenland.
Honestly, I want Elon Musk to get involved in this because he is as much as Trump might be, Elon is the true master memer. He is the master shit poster in all of this. He feels like the kind of guy who would just buy a Hollywood studio just to piss people off. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like,
but he's too autistic to make a movie.
Yeah, he could make a movie, but he could buy a studio that makes movies and populate it with people who are going to do his bidding.
Canada, in retaliation for securing the borders, is bringing in 5,000 Gazans and giving them $3,000 each in a stipend to get them started, and giving them a map where all the Jews are.
Oh, Jesus.
Great.
Seriously, I mean, apart from the Jewish map part, that part is true.
Well,
Like
I
cannot tell you, we are going fucking nuts up here. Like
I thought y'all just got rid of nuts. Trudeau is going.
No. The election isn't until October.
Yeah,
and he has a giant group of people who are doing his stupid shit. Seriously, 5,000 Gazans. When not a single Arab country wants to take any of them, we're taking them.
We feel your pain, Paul. I mean, it's happening over here. It's been happening over here.
We got we have illegals here. They have
They're getting put up in nice hotels, getting $5,000 food stipends every month. I mean,
there's no water in the fire hydrants in L.A.
Yeah.
No,
drinker can't comment. Will come and arrest them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's odd.
Hey man,
You know,
if I post the wrong meme on social media, I get arrested. So I gotta be careful.
It's crazy. There was a report, drinker, yesterday, and then this morning that the UK, they were saying that they have no longer in the last year been qualifying crimes by ethnicity because the police are afraid to be deemed as racist.
Yeah, I would not be surprised by that in the slightest.
Except they keep arresting people who are making posts. They arrested somebody who posted the Union Jack.
Well,
on
yeah,
Facebook.
The fascinating thing in the UK, right? If say someone breaks into your house and steals all your stuff and trashes the place, right?
Right.
The police will straight up say to you, "There's nothing we can do. We'll never find that stuff. We're never going to find the people who did it. You might as well just file an insurance claim. Good luck. Bye." You know, it's just that's the world we live in now. But yeah, you post the wrong thing on social media, and it could be something as that. They will come round to your house and straight up arrest you.
And
like it's good to see where the priorities are.
It's
nice one,
crazy.
British police.
Yeah, I found a video where police stormed, I believe it was a Scottish household. And in my appalling news segment, I let that run. And I said the police arrested them because they couldn't understand what they were saying. The accent was so deep that I couldn't even pick it up.
Paul, we were at a meetup in the UK. There was a Scottish guy who runs a Comic-Con there, and he was trying to tell me about the Comic-Con. I had to get the drinker to come over to interpret what he said.
There's that shit. It's like in Hot Fuzz when there's like 3 layers.
It really happened.
Drinker, I understand you got to get going.
Unfortunately, yes. I have to do some catch-ups with Mauler on Super Chats and stuff, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff to do, unfortunately.
Thank you both for coming by. I mean,
Later,
it's
guys.
awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so
It's
much.
been great hanging with you guys, and yes, enjoy the rest of the anniversary stream. And here's to the 2nd year of your great work, sir.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, my friend. Have a great day.
Congratulations. Catch you later.
It's been 2
I mean,
years.
we joke, man, but you understand,
man,
like,
this is the
if
start of the
Kamala
second.
Harris would have won, we would be in the same situation right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Trump dodged some bullets, and so did we.
Yeah.
So
we would get arrested
that's
for
why I
memes
say-
right now.
That's why I say Newsom doesn't have a shot in hell, because the entire country is watching this guy mismanage something that should have been managed over the last 5 years. Trump's been telling this cat. He's been telling this cat since like at least 2018. Hey, get your fire shit together, and he hasn't done it. And so now an entire neighborhood, 2 neighborhoods, get completely wiped.
More than that, man.
DA, guess
Well,
what?
I'm just talking about
you have
like the
high
main
wind.
2.
You have high wind warnings that were just announced 15 minutes
Again?
ago. Dangerous wind
How?
warnings. Yes.
So it's
How?
coming back.
It's coming back. Yeah.
I want to know
And
how
he still
ready.
hasn't done nothing. You know, they're doing all the cleanup on aisle 9 right now, but at the end of the day, they're not going to get the work that needs to be done, which is, hey, we gotta bolster up the fire department. All right, get all the DEI bullshit out of there. Go hire some actual men. All right, instead of hiring
Build
all
some
these
reservoirs.
DEI cats. Yeah, build the
Build some
reservoirs out,
reservoirs.
clear
What you
the
voted for.
underbrush. Like stuff that should be able to be done. I said this last week, George. Like Cali should be the absolute like ground level for all firefighting in the world because of all the wildfires that we have. We should be the best trained. We should have the most knowledge. We have the most experience. We have thousands upon thousands of wildfires every single year in California. We should be able to just say, we're going to train the rest of the world on how to handle wildfires if one happens to hit your area. And because we have Gavin Newsom as governor, we just can't get simple shit done, like putting water in fire hydrants. Like, that's dumb as hell, but that's where we're at. We can't seem to get the easiest things done, and that's because of the Democratic leadership, where we have not only at the state level but the local level. It's just garbage. So until we get that cleared up, it's not changing.
There are other things that are concerning in terms of wasteful spending and what Bass spent the money on instead of the fire department. Things like DEI projects and these winded salaries of government employees get insane. They're all making more than the president, right? This is nuts.
The salary has been the same since JFK, but $750,000 to, even if she were the best waterworks administrator in the world, okay, that's too freaking much. And to be an incompetent one, this woman's not. She's not even an engineer. She knows how to turn on water like all of us do.
Okay,
that's it. And that's her qualifications.
Well, that's what happens when you have government. We have unions for government employees, and they're negotiating against no one. There's no representative who negotiates for the taxpayers
because it's free. It's free, right? It's free money.
Well, that's supposed to be the city council people. They're supposed to represent us, but obviously they don't. They represent their own fucking interests, So that's the major problem. Anytime you got one of these giant cities like LA, it's like it's like the teachers' unions. I always say it's like the government negotiating with the government. It's like you're not going to get anywhere with that.
Justine Bateman brought up something good that won't happen, but this, for one, there needs to be. We don't need to get rid of the electoral college in America. For larger states, there needs to be an electoral college. We also might need to break up LA. Like LA's too big to manage.
I agree.
And I thought that's a real thing. Like it's to a very light effect. It's happening in San Diego. Like La Jolla is going to probably break away and become its own city, which is crazy. But you might see more of that. That would be good. Because that would decentralize it more. Because LA's, you guys know because you live there. It's fucking huge. It is huge. It is spread out everywhere, and that's not even counting San Bernardino County and Orange County. God. Yeah, it's a massive area. And I don't think 5 city council people, whether they're all women or not, could cover that area responsibly at all.
Nope. So do you think, Gary, that's a possibility? What they've been pushing to split the state actually into 4?
Oh God. I don't think it'll happen because there's way too much power centralized in Sacramento and San Francisco and LA, which operate as a single entity, right? Because San Diego's bringing that too, right? But it does need to. Yeah, I'd say minimum 3.
Because they're saying that way Sacramento and LA can do whatever the hell they want, and Orange County and the others can have their own, because they're like, they keep saying they're completely different. I used to live in Santa Monica, and a lot of people, it's like a lot of people that I know.
But this is true of so many other states, and this is the point that Justine Bateman said that Gary just mentioned. That I live in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, southern New Jersey, 2 different states. Upstate New York, up north of Yonkers, it's a completely red state. People are not, so one thing I mentioned, I think it was in last week. I do believe that federal level election reform has the potential to be a game changer, because why do these cities it's true there have been demographic changes in these cities, but why is it automatically assumed that Philadelphia can, that New York City can, that Philadelphia can, that Los Angeles can usually produce whatever number of votes is necessary to make sure that a state goes the right way? Because they don't check IDs. And because they manufacture. So if there's federal level election reform, that could make a difference.
It could. The UK is going through that right now. Like London runs the UK. We just lost our UK, but they run the UK. And that's
Toronto. Ontario, right?
So are you saying, Gary, that Sacramento and San Francisco run primarily California?
Right now, yeah. I mean, LA's kind of a lapdog to them, which is crazy. But look at the San Francisco. We almost elected a San Francisco politician fucking president. Yeah. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And it's filled with San Francisco policies, and which were even uber left to normal Democrats in California. Like when we were getting out, there was an election, right? And I do believe 2 of the city council members, this has probably changed since then, were socialists. They weren't even Democrat. They were just socialists. They like, well, I'm a socialist, and they got voted in. So I'm like,
That's stunning.
And they redistrict in San Francisco. So like one, I forgot a Daly. I forgot his first name, but his last name was Daly. Rode his bicycle to work every day. He got voted in with like 5,000 votes in the city of San Francisco. So that definitely has to change. But they're not going to change. And yes, you need to split California. It'll never happen. But it would benefit definitely the northern half. That it's
San Andreas full.
Well, you could split it right at San Andreas.
So was Willie Brown the last like common sense Democrat?
Yeah, like Willie Brown was crooked as fuck and getting blown by Kamala. But dude buried power lines where he could. The dude got things done. Like he liked to make money and make the city go.
Like host.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's crazy. I've really been interested, just to flip the subject real quick. I've been interested in what everybody thinks of the new Daredevil trailer. I wanted to show it. I'm just curious.
Fantastic.
Thank you for finding the time.
I will admit, it's not entirely.
This is what I'm curious about. So everything that happened in Echo and in the Hawkeye series, is that gone? Because I don't see the scar on his eye and from Echo and the 1 foot hop and Indian. Is all that been erased now? Does anybody know?
It appears to be either
sure.
a multiverse or it's just ignoring him. One of the two.
One of the two. That's a good question. That what I have been told is this is a direct continuation of the Netflix series.
Cool, because I love that.
I'm pretty sure they're going to have to finagle like that other stuff happened and maybe Kingpin was magically, through plastic surgery and got a Stark technology eye. I don't know.
And that his ass was kicked by a one-legged disabled Indian. All that.
Oh yeah, and a teenage girl. Let's not forget that too. Teenage girl.
So is Stephen Knight involved in this at all? Because it feels a little bit like it.
No. The showrunner from Punisher, which had a decent first season and a horrible second one, is the only connective tissue. But Drew Goddard, Stephen Knight, thankfully Lauren Hisrich isn't involved though. She was involved in season 3, so she's not there. But yeah, none of the original writers. What I was told is it's slow burn, so be ready for that. It really brings it home in the last few episodes, but it's a slow burn.
Isn't it like 18 or 20 episodes though?
No, it's 8.
Oh, somebody said the other day. Okay, thank you.
No, the first season was 18 episodes. They had shot half of it, and then they shit-canned it because they used the strikes as an opportunity to go back to the drawing board.
Cool.
Really unpleasant seeing you again.
Oh, that reminds me, I'm going to go see my mother.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Ron.
Is she
been
bald?
An extraordinary simulation of reality, and I want you to continue to have the tremendous good fortune and success, George, and I wish it even more on myself. Okay, guys, all the best.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Take care, Ron.
Take care, Ron.
See you, Ron.
All right. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron.
Back to the trailer.
A lot of time has passed. By the look of it, you've come up in the world.
I could say the same about you.
A mayor serves his city. I can see you're not entirely convinced.
Can you blame me? I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
Why did you stop?
I just can't see anyone else playing Daredevil now besides him.
Yeah.
It's just stuck in my head. Like I couldn't see them making a change and going, yeah, I wouldn't accept it.
No, not while he's still in his prime. No, he could play him for a lot of years.
I'll say this. This is better than the Superman trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Much
by
better.
far.
I hated that outfit, Chris. I hated that outfit. It's like somebody wanted us to play virtual tic-tac-toe. It's like all the lines, they overdesigned it. And I couldn't stand. I know some people are saying it looks like the comics, but I couldn't stand Fillion. I'm a big Fillion fan from Firefly, but I didn't like his character.
Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner. I just did.
Yeah, it looks like they're in their Justice League International, like a version of it costume, which requires a lot of context. We'll just say
Okay,
that.
I gotta ask you that then, since you're here, right? I gotta ask you this real quick till we go back to the trailer. I wanted a Superman story. Gunn originally said this was going to be a standalone Superman story, no world building. The trailer looks like he's doing world building. Or are they just there for 5 or 10 minutes? Have you heard anything?
It's a DC Universe movie featuring Superman, is what it feels like.
Yes.
I'm going to introduce my vision for what DC is, which is in contrast to Zack Snyder's, which was very dark, very dark.
Right, but he starts it off with him beaten and bloodied.
That
reminded me.
That's okay. I don't have a problem with that. That's interesting, but no, I don't know. It looks it's. I think the reaction from everyone was mixed.
Yeah.
And then, especially if you go back and watch the old Man of Steel trailers, they're great. I mean, I was pumped.
I do. I like the actor. Did you see that clip of him? Like, he feels like a real nerd, where he was reciting the lines from Star Trek from the first film. I never called
Star
it
Wars.
Star Wars. Sorry, Star Wars.
yeah.
I don't know. I was reading something about Star Wars, and he nailed it beat per beat. I was like, this guy really looks like he's a passionate nerd. Like, he loves the material.
Yeah, I as far as all the characters, it's like the Suicide Squad. You remember, like half of those characters were dead in the first 5 minutes, but maybe they're just in it for one scene, and then we focus on Superman the rest of the time. But we got to go off of what they give us with the trailer, and it just looks like they're doing more of the same.
But I didn't like the kaiju. I thought, again, I was watching Suicide Squad too.
I kind of like that stuff.
You like that?
Yeah, I do. That's that comic book. Yeah,
I know, but you don't want
Superman
that
fighting giant monsters and saving people. That's what I want.
Superman fought kaiju.
I know, but I don't know. I want that Christopher Reeves feeling back. That that's 1979. Who's holding you up? Kind of.
I would love to see that. I don't know if anybody has the talent to do that nowadays. I don't know if there's or the people who do have the talent, are they willing to make a Superman movie, which is no. So we're left with James Gunn.
He's one of the 3 people I would have said, though, possibly.
Out of superhero experience, he's the one who makes the most sense. I don't know if he makes the most sense for Superman. No,
like I would have tapped Joe Johnston if I had
Joe Johnston,
my druthers.
Brad Bird, based on
those are the other 2
Swamp.
guys, basically.
Yeah.
So there you go. But I mean, I'm going to try and wait and see what it is. I mean, I'm not supposed to judge everything before we see it, right? So
No, but I just got the Superman special. I haven't seen it. The one that has the extra 45 minutes for the first film with Reeve. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
is it any
that's
good?
the TV version.
I haven't seen it.
There's 2 different cuts, actually. There's the Donner cut and the TV cut.
The TV
Donner cut
is
is like
long.
27 minutes longer, and the TV cut's like 3 hours long.
So I'm gonna watch
all
that
the Donner
tonight.
cut is just cut all the excess stuff he didn't like out of it.
Gotcha. Cool.
So yeah, the TV cut was 2 nights. They would show it over 2 nights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the Salkinds realized that, and so did Dino De Laurentiis, that you made a hell of a lot more money that way.
Yeah.
Well, they did it to Dune as well. I have that.
Oh
Dune,
yeah, Dino.
TV.
That's what I meant. Yeah, Dino did that with King Kong, Dune, a lot of his films, because he would get basically almost twice the money because it would be over 2 nights. Yeah.
There's a lot more Krypton stuff in that TV version. So.
Oh, cool! I can't wait. I'm gonna watch that tonight. Then. Cool. Cool.
Being a vigilante,
The line was crossed.
it's hard to come to terms with a violent nature. Hating the power it has over us.
The city can't go unchecked.
Was that Bullseye?
Yeah.
So he's back.
Yes, he is.
Sometimes peace needs to be broken. And chaos must reign.
I'm gonna hatch it down.
I love John Bernthal. When I read his interview 2 years ago, and he had said he would only do Punisher if they stuck to it because there were 3 things important to him: his wife, his child, and Punisher. So I figured if he's working with him, that Disney didn't change a thing. And does that mean is there a civil war is continuing now further into Disney and the non-woke side is winning?
Internally, I think as Chris reported, they got rid of a lot of people that were not about the comics and were bending toward the activist. And the quote I was told was Kevin Feige. And again, actions speak louder than words. But he said, like, we have done our part for King and Country. And we're now going to get back to like making super. You probably should have just listened to your fans 4 years ago, because we're like half a decade past like really good Marvel. There's been anomalies, and they're all gimmicks. They're all gimmicks. So this is the first thing that's singular focus pretty much on a superhero, that on a ground level. It's not some multiverse, Tobey Maguire showing up, you know,
Deadpool, Wolverine,
Deadpool and Wolverine stuff.
This is what Disney Plus and Marvel should have been doing from the start with these. They should have took the Shield idea in that the movies can affect the show, yes, but the show never affects the movies, and you don't have to have seen a show to watch a movie. They broke that rule right away with WandaVision and Falcon and all that stuff. Yeah, like, because when people went to see Doctor Strange 2 and they realized, oh, this isn't Doctor Strange 2, this is a sequel to that stupid show on Disney Plus I didn't watch. And this new Captain America coming up is going to be basically, you know, the same thing. If you didn't see Falcon and Winter Soldier, how lost are you going to be when we get to this film? I don't know right now, but yeah.
I'm not looking forward to Falcon Crest.
No, but I will say,
actually, I'd rather watch a Falcon Crest.
You know what, though? I will say, though, at least with Falcon, we have Endgame, right? We have Steve Rogers giving him the shield, and they could have just took the movie straight from that point on. The thing that pissed me off about Multiverse of Madness was, unless you watch WandaVision, you have no idea what's going on in that movie
at all.
Right, but it could have, if they had better writing, would it have worked better? What I'm saying is that everything is connected. Would it have worked better if the writing would have been better? Like if they had nailed each story, or would that still have been too much? Like everybody had to watch everything.
Yeah, they should have. It should have been a singular movie with maybe a little bit of a mention of one thing. Like even the, you know, I'm rewatching the X-Files. The X-Files movie lands between series 5 and series 6. They mentioned the movie in episode 6. Or episode 1 of season 6 briefly, and they just carry on with the story that they left off before. So it was a separate episode that happened. We'll lightly message it. We don't want to make it the entire DNA. Dude, a Doctor Strange versus Scarlet Witch movie would be rad. Directed by Sam Raimi, right? Should have been killer, and it should have been like going through, instead of like 3 multiverses, all of them, you know, and getting into that weird Steve Ditko Doctor Strange that, quite frankly, they did pretty well in the first one. You know, it should have been a massive hit, and they decided to go the route they did, and you had to do homework, and it's never going to work.
They already had the blueprint and shield, because they had that episode where it was all about the carrier, where what's his face gave the carrier to Samuel Jackson, and in the movie there's just that one little line. They ask, where were you hiding this? And he goes, oh, a friend was holding it for me. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need anything else. Right, like, because that point doesn't become homework otherwise.
Right, but if they had stuck the landing, is what I'm saying, in each one of those series, was great.
Would it have worked well? They'll be good, but it's still homework, and I think most normies would be lost. Because if you look at the percentage of people who watch Disney Plus compared to go to movies, it's God, it's somewhere around like 4 or 5%. It's nothing.
So there's no carryover, like they watch Disney Plus, then go buy a ticket.
No. And that's what I was saying. Like, I say nobody. I mean, obviously there's people that watch these shows, but Gary's right. Like, on the comparison to the people that are actually watching WandaVision or any of these shows, even She-Hulk and some of the more popular ones that were on there, compared to the people that go to the movies, it's a big difference. And you see the fall off with Doctor Strange, right? Because it had that big opening, and then had that big opening on the idea that it was the movie that followed up Spider-Man No Way Home. Right, because remember, that was the last time we saw Doctor Strange besides WandaVision. But most people hadn't seen WandaVision, so they had no idea of the connection. And then you go into the movie and you realize that this is not going to reference anything we saw before, and it's going to have everything to do with the stupid TV show. That word got out there pretty quick, and that thing fell off a cliff.
Yep.
Well,
there's a graphic that I'm sharing that will give you the lineup of this year for Marvel, kind of a discussion point. Ooh.
Yeah, and it's not looking good.
There are 2 things I'm interested in, and only one that I'm really interested in.
Daredevil.
And
Fantastic Four.
Slightly Fantastic Four, maybe.
Oh, I thought you wanted to watch Ironheart. Dante.
Oh, it's dude. That shit is circled on my calendar, man. Don't worry. It is.
I will say I'm very
Thunderbolt's
curious
good.
about Wonder Man, but other than that, that's all it is curiosity.
Yep.
I mean, think about this. Like, how many things?
Trailer?
Oh yeah. Think about how much we got in the first 3 phases of Marvel. We got how many projects? We got 22 movies from 2008 until 2019. That's 11 years, 22 movies. That's like 2 movies a year. That's something your general audience can keep up with. They're not going to get stumbled and thrown for a loop because you're throwing 9 projects at them in a single year. This is way too much. And that's been the biggest issue, in my opinion, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe since Phase 4 started. You've just thrown way too much at an audience, and people are like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't keep up.
Too woke, too often. Exactly.
Way too much. All right. And then characters that people really don't care about, you haven't built them up. Like if you built up, like they threw America Chavez in this Doctor Strange movie, and it's like she's there, and then it's like, wait, who is this? And we get a single movie to try to figure out her character. Meanwhile, we're supposed to be watching Doctor Strange and Wanda. So it's like, all right, we got all of this stuff going on in a single movie. And yeah, I love the Sam Raimi-ness of it because I love Sam Raimi. But outside of the Sam Raimi stuff that we got, I just don't give a damn about that movie. And that was one of the pivotal movies, in my opinion, that kind of sunk Phase 4. Phase 4 fell off hard after that. And then we got Thor, and then everything else went downhill from there. And that was the biggest issue. They threw too much at the audience at one time. You had 22 movies, and it was perfect. They did it perfectly from Iron Man to Endgame. That was like, oh man, chef's kiss.
And now
it's
half
like
as much
shit.
time that they've produced almost as much. We're at 35
Yeah.
or 6 projects that are within the MCU. That's insane.
Too much, too woke, too soon. And as I've been saying for a while now, Superman is going to be the barometer going forward. There's a lot of producers in Hollywood right now that are like going like, okay, if Superman doesn't open big and these Marvel movies don't perform this year, the superhero movie's done. Like Tom Rothman's already moved on. There's all these other producers that are going to be more than happy to move on from these, but I know they're also scared because they don't know what the next thing is going to be. Because they've banked too much on these movies, and they could have milked it for another 10 years, but instead they screwed it up.
But you got Uwe Boll, who's producing The Dark Knight. What are you talking about? You didn't hear that? You got
with Armie Hammer.
Hammer, the cannibal.
Back.
You know, I was saying this before. I think you got to get back to making these event movies. You know, like you go on right now and to try to buy a ticket to Captain America Brave New World, it's wide open. You can get any showtime, any seat you want. It's like it's wide open wherever you are in your local area. When I was trying to get tickets for Infinity War, the app kept crashing. I was lucky if I got in. And then when I finally got in, like, oh shit, the only thing available is like Sunday night at like 8 p.m. Like that's the only movie that I could find because it was such an event and everybody was going to see it. Everybody was going to see it opening weekend because you didn't want to get spoiled. So, and it's the same thing with Star Wars. You got to start turning these into event movies where you don't try to bombard the audience with your IP because you own it. And okay, we got to push as much content through this IP as humanly possible. That's screwing the IP. You're jacking the IP up because you don't want to just take your time and make something of quality and then space it out. That's fine. I don't have a problem with waiting. That's what made it special. That's what made the Marvel Cinematic Universe the best thing that we've ever gotten in terms of comic book lore. We have been waiting for something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe to pop off. And when it finally got here, it was like perfect. But then Marvel screwed it up. They should have been able to keep doing this. Just keep it in theaters, maybe 1 or 2 series on Disney Plus or whatever you want to do, but make it all quality. And instead, they just tried to
all of us comic book fans wanted this, DA. And now it's like, what did it cost you?
Well, they made the IP the movie star. That's the first thing. They need to reinvent the movie star. That's the problem. And then the high concept movie needs to be reinvented again.
Yeah.
So they got a long way to go.
But we can't talk like they were doing this in good faith either.
Yeah,
I got to George. I got to bail out.
Thank you for coming, Gary. Chris, you got to go too.
Thanks for having me.
I got to go too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Great talking to you guys.
You can have me on anytime.
See you later.
Paul, we'll email. I'll have to email you that old email stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Congratulations, George.
Send the pigeon. Yes.
Later, guys.
Congrats, George. See you later, man.
Thank you, Chris.
See ya.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, we can't act like these were made in good faith, man. I mean, these movies were they pushed an agenda. That's what they did. It's not like they just made a bunch of bad movies. They did this purposely with the intent of forcing certain characters on us, right? Like America Chavez and Kamala Khan, right? And who's the black chick who played in the Marvels? The other one, Photon, whatever her name is.
Monica Rambeau. Monica
I think
Rambeau
that's
was
her
the
name.
OG.
But they tried to push these characters on us, right? Agatha, right? And it's like, it's not even that they were just making bad movies. They were pushing something. And we didn't like what they were pushing.
No.
No, you're
I think we're gonna let's catch up on some super chats because there are a few questions, and then we'll jump back and finish that. Fletcher, bring them up so we can grab these real quick. We got Mr. Buttcrack Media gifted 5 Georgia Giants player membership. Thank you, Mr. Buttcrack Media. A little late, but we didn't want to interrupt the panel. But I always want to read everybody's. Flying blind on a rocket cycle. Oh, reminds me of a Flash Gordon. Yep, for $5. Hey, how about that rumor, which I just made up, that Pedro Pascal will be in the next Shaft remake?
Don't give him ideas now.
I love the way you think. Thank you, Flying Blind.
That last Shaft movie was kicking ass, though, if you haven't seen it yet.
It was. Jeremy Winfield, member for 5 months. Look at this panel of sheer excellence. Yeah, they're amazing. We still have
And
them
then
here.
there's me here.
You are great. Blair to Blair for $5. Happy anniversary, and hope you have many more. From your lips to God's ears. Thank you, Blair to Blair. Appreciate it. We got PM, member for 6 months. Congrats on the anniversary. MAGA T minus 12 hours. I know you can feel it. And tomorrow morning, starting at 9:30 a.m. Central, we're going to be doing an inauguration stream.
Doesn't it almost feel like he's gotten more done before he's become president
He
than
does.
Biden has in the last 4 years?
Even though, yeah, it does. Even though in the
TikTok.
even the last 2 weeks. So that's a debate I wanted to have with everybody here as soon as I've done these. The TikTok debate. I want to hear what y'all all think about it. I see so many people who are split on it. G-Man for $5, sleeping with 100 men in one day. Talk about a train wreck. Oh, bump. Yep, she got something
See
all
what
right.
you did there.
Hard Ticket 52, become a YouTube member. Thank you and welcome aboard. We're going to have our next member stream this Saturday because we just had it yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Hard Ticket 52 for 10 California dollars. California, what the hell? Canadian. Sorry about that. California was on the mind. It's got a super sticker. 2 penny puppet for $2. A damn all-star panel. I agree with Verbal Riot. I typically agree with him, except for Nosferatu.
I mean,
it's all right. That's what friends do. You gotta have something you agree on once in a while. Otherwise, it'd be boring. Even though I just saw Wolfman yesterday, and I gotta say that's the worst movie of the year after Borderlands.
Ooh, wow, that's bad.
Yeah,
that's really
the
bad.
Wolfman did not look like a Wolfman. I fell asleep 25 minutes into it, and they treated it like it was a medical disease.
Oh, Jesus.
Like cancer. It was this weird. Bloomhouse failed. Yeah, Universal is very hit and miss lately.
You know, Ashton Blaze, she's some of you guys might follow her, but she's a cosplayer, but she also does like film critiques and things like that.
Uh-huh.
But she made a great point on a Zia show the other day where she was saying that she misses the lore of horror films, right?
Yes.
Like the Wolfman, it was a curse.
Yep.
Right? It's a curse. And you know, when the full moon comes out, he turns into the wolf, and you can only kill him with a silver bullet, right? And there's a lore to it, right? Most monster movies today don't have a lore anymore.
I know that's you nailed it. It's like what my three favorite lycanthropy Wolfman stories: The American Werewolf in London.
Oh, great movie! Yeah.
The Howling. Remember The Howling?
Oh yeah,
that had great mythology. It also had that blonde who's
I can't remember her name, but I know who you're talking about. The
one
one with the tits.
Yeah.
The one with the tits.
Sybil Danning, I think, was
yes.
Sybil Danning. She had these amazing, like they were Oscar worthy by them. She didn't do anything. She gets gold every time. Then then there was the first Underworld. I like it first. I did like also Wolf with Jack Nicholson, parts of it. Remember that one?
You know what? That was a solid movie, man. I don't think it gets enough credit, but that was a pretty solid film.
Yeah, Dog Soldiers. It's phenomenal. I did like Dog Soldiers, but nothing still has beat the transformation and the mythology of American Werewolf in London. I don't think so.
Oh, dude, I had nightmares about that.
Howling is a close second, maybe, but I mean, you had a lot of the same people with that, so yeah.
Funny enough, there was one that used to be on cable when I was growing up all the time. It was called Silver Bullet with Gary Busey.
Oh, that's a good one.
remember
Stephen
that,
King
yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was pretty good. Hell
Cycle
yeah.
of the Werewolf, I think it's based on, but Stephen King, yeah.
He did good stuff. 21 Pilot Club member for 12 months, 1 year. Hail George, wishing you a happy 2025. Slay on. We will. Everybody get out your shorts. Sharpen them. It's going to be a hell of a year. Eric K, King of the Mods for $5. I want my fireman to look like an NFL linebacker. Be able to carry Gary and Drinker at the same time or drag Man of War 665 Neighbor of the Beast with help.
Better be able to carry my fat ass.
You can't
better
pick up
believe
Pond
I'm on
Connors.
fire. Henry
can't pick
Cavill
up
better be
Pond.
coming in there, just all like,
I got
to
you.
save you.
I will say I have one exception to that rule, which Dante and I talked about this Wednesday. If it's Sydney Sweeney in a fireman's outfit, but with
Because then I'm willing to risk death. It's like,
I'll chase
okay.
after her ass. Exactly. Exactly, Verbal. You'll chase after
She
her.
might
You're
not
like,
be able
I'm-
to carry me out, but
lead the way,
She
babe.
will get you up. You'll be like, fuck smoke inhalation. I am resurrected.
She's like, your bone is protruding from your leg. I don't care. Just keep moving.
If she's the last thing I see, okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
You go to St. Peter at the pearly gates. You're a little bit before your time. It's all right. I saw heaven already.
I think in LA, what they're going to do instead is if your house is on fire and you're overweight, they're going to send in a personal trainer. And then, after about 6 months, you'll be down to the right weight for one of the, what we call up here traveling companions.
Okay.
That's our euphemism.
Traveling companions. I thought that was like ants.
No. Traveling companions.
Okay. I got
Two women together are, we say, traveling companions.
Women in comfortable shoes, yes.
And Volvo, Subaru drivers. Anyway, so and then after 6 months, after you've svelted up, then they take you out. See, I think that would be good. It would be extra money too.
I like it. Or we can just pass a law to force Bill Burr and his big mouth to come save you.
Yeah, I think that would be
great.
Yeah, Bill Burr's a bit of a surprise.
I liked him. I think I'm just disappointed. I was disappointed in his crack because he made it sound like we're all insane, and he was sane. And I mean, I understand that he was trying to. It felt like a shtick, but he was serious about it.
He was talking about the mainstream media. Why can't they be? How come we're not? It was making fun that we weren't believing them. And then I believe it was the Free Press, which isn't mainstream. They were the only people who actually took a camera to the Palisades reservoir. None of the other, to the best of my knowledge, none of the other mainstream stations actually went to the reservoir and stuck a camera to see what was going on. Yet the Free Press, which gets derided a lot, they did. And so this is the unbelievable lack of reporting that Bill Burr was making fun of, which I didn't get. That's not funny.
I mean, I've learned not to be disappointed by these people anymore because I just don't have any faith in them anyway.
You met me and you were monstrously disappointed.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
thought you'd be taller, Paul.
I think why is because I set myself up in that way. I thought Burr was based. Like he called out stupidity. So they took me off guard. I thought he called that. It didn't matter what his politics were. If he saw stupid, he called it out. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, because for the longest time, Bill Burr has gotten by with, what I call common sense comedy, right?
Right.
And for the longest time, and you would hope that person is who they are when they're making these jokes, right? That they're really that person. It'd be like if Dave Chappelle, if he were like a complete hypocrite, right?
Mhm.
Like that would be heartbreaking. But something tells me he's not because, he has enough fuck you money to be himself.
He seems
What do you want to say?
genuine.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
see's very genuine too. That helps.
He does.
Like
All
I
right,
his
did you
best-
guys see that monologue, the SNL
Yeah, I was just gonna
monologue? I
say.
thought it was great.
He's like, everybody keeps asking me, you know all these people at these Diddy parties. How come you didn't get invited? Then it dawned on me. That's how I found out I was ugly.
Hold on. I did watch one. I didn't like the end of it, but I loved everything up until the last 35 seconds of his SNL opening, but I did
Is that a recent? Is that a recent?
the one from last night because he was
Well, that's
like,
because Dave will go after both sides equally.
well, that's because he wished Trump good. He's like, it doesn't matter if you voted for Trump, didn't vote for Trump. He goes, I wish Trump good because you represent everybody, you know, even us who doesn't like you. You got to do good for all of us. And then he threw in the Palestine thing, and I was like, why do you got to fuck
From
that up?
Palisades to Palestine.
I know.
Yes, he has gone anti-Israel, and I find that very
Big time.
disappointing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It just came out of nowhere, and the skit was perfect. But I will tell you what he did do really well. Hold on, I had been saving this. I haven't, like, I don't laugh at Saturday Night Live anymore. I watch the Frantics when I can find some stuff. No, come on, no, seriously, there is nothing funny about Saturday Night.
Oh,
Live.
the pop the balloon, yeah.
This was hilarious. Hold on, where is it? Well, 150 when it comes in. I think it's 120.
Yeah, I mean, as disingenuous as a lot of this shit may be, it at least shows us that things are healing. Like, that was what I was getting at earlier.
I got you. I agree. Except for Netflix for some reason.
It's crazy how popular this show has gotten, by the way, this pop the balloon show.
Thank you all that.
Ow! Ow! Silky, they shooting.
Sweet day and salutations, ladies. My name is Silky Johnson. A little bit about me. I'm a purveyor of precious goods and services, i.e., bitches.
I'm sorry, are you some sort of sex trafficker?
I don't do traffic. I take helicopters, bitch. And as for you, that coat right there looks like your skin to grouch.
Horrible bitches make horrible decisions.
And you,
wow,
tangerine's not your color, and there's something in your belly button. Made you look. And as for this one here,
Oh, I know you ain't talking to me with your chipmunk looking at.
chipmunk. Do me a favor and hand this woman another balloon.
Ow!
Sassy mouth. Good day.
Let's meet our last guy. Hey. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up before I pass away.
I can't believe all y'all bitches popped the balloon on me. I'm going back to the streets.
This is like the Chappelle show all over again.
Yeah.
It is, right?
I will tell you, this is my all-time favorite Dave Chappelle. Since we're sharing it, it's the anniversary. Do it. Whether YouTube demonetizes this, it's okay. But this is just too funny. This is my favorite Chappelle.
N-word on SNL quite a few times, by the way. So
Wow.
Did he last night?
He did last night. Yeah, he did.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I haven't got to watch the
opening?
whole show yet, but yeah.
He gets away with stuff no one gets away with on that show.
Oh yeah, definitely. What are they going to do?
He got away with a 16-minute monologue.
Yeah, that's crazy.
7. Yeah, it was. But Chappelle, I can't remember what was the reason that he quit the Chappelle show. And
They offered him like one of the biggest deals in history for I think another
easily
3
at the
years,
time
4 years to do a show, and he just freaked the fuck out.
Wasn't that when
he
he just,
actually
like,
addresses it in
disappeared?
one of his stand-ups? He just got this idea in his head that if he would be owned by Comedy Central, basically, and
Wasn't it $50 million or something like that?
it was
Tom?
huge. Yeah,
It was
huge.
it was 50 mil.
50 million. Yeah. Define Films, I agree with you. Every time I see this Rick James sketch, I think of The Acolyte with the two sisters, the same actress. Yeah, I agree.
What's sad is this shit is all true.
Oh man.
Hey, but this is what made Chappelle like a legend. Like this show,
yeah,
took him to like another level, man.
And we haven't even gotten to some of the best parts. There's 2 scenes in here. Whew.
Oh shit.
You know what? I'm really glad though we got this before like all the woke stuff really like started going on.
Yeah, I was about to say that, man. It's
Man,
like
we never
so
would have
bad.
got this like during the
Never.
last 10 years.
Nah,
Oh, yeah.
no
No
chance.
way. They don't have the balls to do it.
Man, this was OG, man. This is real shit right here.
His brother.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why it's so funny. Hey, Mr. Grant Gregory, I added you to the group if you want to jump on with us.
Yeah, because he said earlier in the thing, Charlie, like back then, Eddie was like very straight edge.
Yeah.
So like when these guys would start to party, Eddie would peace out. So Charlie though would hang out, and like Rick would give him so much shit because he was Charlie Murphy, not Eddie Murphy, right? So he was like his brother hanging out with all these superstars.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, this is here comes the first. I think one of the funniest scenes, and then the one after it.
It's funny. Charlie's good.
Oh God, yeah, he was
the
great.
Unity part was hilarious. So when he hit him, he's like Unity.
What's even better, Paul, is when you watch Eddie's stand up now, and whenever Eddie does, he slips into certain like ghetto black guy voices. He's basically doing his brother Charlie, which is hilarious. You can tell now. Because now that Charlie was out there, but he passed away in 2017.
Who did, Charlie?
Really? I thought Charlie was the younger brother.
No, he's a little older, but he passed away in 2017.
Damn, I wish you could get Eddie Murphy to do Raw 2. You know,
He
Raw.
was supposed to do a stand-up for Netflix. I don't know whatever happened, if he's still going to do it or not. But
No, but Raw Eddie Murphy from his original 84.
yeah, right. I don't know if we'll ever get that Eddie Murphy back again.
Yeah, no, Eddie Murphy now, he's very what's the word I'm looking for? He's not woke, but he's apologized for his old comedy.
Come on, are you serious?
Yeah, he did.
Man, when you have kids, man, he's like a father and a grandfather, man. That's what happens.
And he's got like
Great
17
comedian.
kids. So
But what does that have to
man,
do with
he
who
is.
he was? That's part of who he is. It's like
Probably because he made some jokes, and he probably didn't want his grandkids or his getting shit for what he did. And
Ron was genius. Do you remember when he did that Saturday Night Live skit where he would do like, "Welcome to the neighborhood. Today we call it racism," and it's brought to you by. I mean, it was just.
I was not a fan of Raw.
Oh, you weren't?
Oh, Raw was great, but Delirious was a little bit better in my opinion.
Delirious was better for sure. Yeah.
Did you like Richard Pryor?
Yes.
Live at the
Way
Summer
better.
Festival?
Way
Oh.
better.
Oh yeah. You got to
Sorry.
get going, Paul.
I have to get going.
Well, thank you so much for showing up today for the anniversary.
Well, congratulations. I mean, you've spanned the globe in 1 year. That's thanks for letting me be part of this adventure. Very much appreciated.
I appreciate you being here. I
I
appreciate.
never
What you
get
have
to
coming
hang
up
out with
this
you,
week?
Paul.
Pardon me, what?
I never get to hang out with you.
What do you, every fucking Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Paul, like I'm right here, man.
Sorry.
It's called a joke.
Oh wow. All right,
Yeah.
Paul. I
Yep.
can't wait to have you back, my friend.
Nope.
All
Yeah.
right,
Any time. And
we
sorry, I
gotta
was.
show some frantic clips. We got to show some frantic clips here.
Sure. Yeah, you can. do
Okay,
that
I
anytime.
can. Awesome.
Yeah,
They're gonna love
I
it.
won't nuke you. Don't worry about it. That's fine.
Need to get a canoe head over here.
So yes, and I'm feeling much better. For those of you who don't know, I had a cataract surgery on Friday, and
Oh, I didn't know that.
no, it's not. No big deal. It's not like
Okay.
having a new head.
Did they
but,
give you any weed?
No, they did put me out, and it was glorious. Let me tell you.
They didn't put you out?
Yeah, they put me out because they don't want you jiggly while they're
Gotcha.
while they're doing the laser cutting in your eye and sticking in a glass lens into your eye and things like that.
So you see better now? Everything's
Oh
fixed?
my God, yes. It's way better.
Thank God.
And the color's different. I don't think you guys realize it, but now the color is just beautiful. It's stunning. It was always yellow for a good long time. So anyways, yes, I got up from my nap and I came down here and just to be part of the show. And thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. And good to see some of my homies who I saw in LA. That was great. You guys take care. I thought about you guys a lot during the fire. You were the
wonderful meeting
favorite
you,
part of
Paul.
my trip. So
Wow.
Yeah, it was good hanging out, man.
When before the cataract surgery, was Dave Chappelle yellow? Yes, was.
yes.
Okay.
That's correct. Everything was yellow to me. He looked very Asian. I had no idea.
Everybody had jaundice.
That's right. And Al Ning was double Asian. It was quite.
All right, Paul. Bless you, my friend. I hope you have an awesome week.
Thank you. See you later, everyone. Thanks, George. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
See you, Paul.
And as Paul's going, we got Mr. Grant Gregory.
Hey.
Joining us.
Yellow.
First time here. How you doing, Mr. Grant Gregory?
Good, mate. Good, mate.
Australian brother.
Congratulations on all your success, brother.
Thank
well
you.
earned.
Congratulations on yours. You're almost what? You've passed 500,000. I saw the other day.
Yeah. Sitting around the 500,000 mark. So it's going pretty good.
Sweet. I love it. Let's finish this.
It's nice.
I missed that part. Long before. Wow.
Oh man, this show was wild, man. This show was absolutely wild, man.
But I mean,
Loved
that's right up Charlie's style of comedy. He was so dry with a lot of his stuff. I loved his stand up. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah. Just gotta take a break to breathe.
Oh man.
Oh man.
I haven't seen that in years.
I know. It's just,
That's so awesome, man. That was great shit.
It
Awesome.
was. And it makes you laugh, and that brings everybody together. Come on, there's nothing better than that. See, that's the thing that woke doesn't get. Their world is dreary, gray, drab.
Oh man, that is a classic. That is a classic clip, man.
It is. Oh, that is good. We didn't even finish the Daredevil trailer, but yeah, that was good. Okay. Two penny puppet for $2. Hey, DA, thanks for the free sub. Sweet.
You're welcome.
We got Pilgrim Media for $2. You are as good as the finest people I know. Bless you. Thank you, Pilgrim Media. The Dead Man for $5 is the best crossover since Captain Sisko met Captain Kirk. I agree. But did you see the other day that magazine article that rated Stranger Worlds higher than Voyager? I think it was Entertainment Weekly or it was Vanity Fair. They rated Strange New Worlds as a better show than Voyager and Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, they're tripping. They're tripping. Not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Come on, how is that even a competition? Strange New Worlds is better than Deep Space Nine and Voyager.
Well, George, this is where we play their own stupid games against them. Where we go, okay, so you picked the series with a white lead versus a black lead. So clearly, these polls racist.
Racist. I agree. I love Cisco. I thought Cisco was badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Cisco was Deep Space Nine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Voyager was the white one.
Voyager's the one with was the one with the boobs.
Of
Not the
course, a
captain,
black man.
7 to 9.
A lead in the show
7 to
called
9
Deep
kept me
Space
locked in on
Nine.
that. I wouldn't have watched it if it wasn't for 7 to 9.
At least Verbal got the joke.
And we got a birthday boy joining us right now.
Happy anniversary, buddy.
Thank you.
Better late than never. That's what I always say.
Thank you,
Well,
my
I'm glad
friend.
this man got to hear this joke because that was gold. That was gold.
You must have heard about the article that I was just talking about, right, Robert? Where I think it was Vanity Fair, Variety, or Hollywood Reporter. They just stated this week that Strange New Worlds is a better show than Deep Space Nine and Voyager. Okay, shock. I can see the shock on your face.
Great, you just giving him a stroke. Well done,
Bruh. First of all, Strange New Worlds, can I just say it, is fucking bullshit.
Okay.
That show is not good. Love the casting. I love the actors. It is hogwash. It's Akiva Goldsman's albatross debacle. Call it what you want. That show is completely creatively bankrupt, and I hate it.
Okay.
In a different way than I hate Discovery.
Right, but who could write that article? Like, what person would write that? Is that what we would qualify as a shill, or just somebody with bad taste?
They did that so people would retweet
Yeah,
that article.
so they could trigger people like me.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. Anybody who says that, here's what I'm convinced. Half the things people write about entertainment, they've never seen it. They've read some BuzzFeed article. You cannot tell me that anyone who's watched seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Deep Space Nine would come away with it not loving the show.
Right.
Because there's so much great television in that show.
There's great lore to it, great stories.
Great lore. I mean, great stories. And to say that about Strange New Worlds, you're a moron.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't need to come on the show to
World
scream about
episode
Star
that's
Trek.
in the in the public eye. No one can name a great episode.
Is it true,
That's the
Robert?
problem. Like,
No, you're right, Mr. Grant Greger. But is it true, Robert, that Kurtzman is going to be out in the next month or so in Star Trek?
Look,
that rumor is everywhere.
Everyone talks about this. I can't speak to that. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I would say this though. With Section 31 coming, and I mean, Alan Ang and Film Threat liked it. I mean, he didn't hate it. But I would say that the real question is Star Trek. What they've done is they've made a lot of Star Trek since 2017, Is it part of the pop culture zeitgeist?
No.
It hasn't been. And the merchandise doesn't sell. If you look at X06 action figures, the 6 scale figures,
Oh, yeah.
the 2 that are available are Burnham and Saru.
Yeah, and they're not selling.
No, and you know what's really interesting to me, like we talk about IPs. There
Right.
is a thought now in our corporate culture that by putting an IP's name on something, that it immediately, you can't just slap Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Marvel on something and expect it to sell.
Right.
You still have to make a good product. And it's unfortunate that this corporate thinking is like, well, it's a product. If we put the brand name on it, it's going to sell. It's not Coca-Cola, man.
Right.
You need to earn the audience's trust. Every single episode of your show, every single movie that you make that's part of your IP, if it's not good, you could lose your entire audience. There is no guarantee that anybody's going to stick with you. A franchise is one movie away from being great again, but it's also one movie or one episode away from losing your entire audience.
And even worse than that, Rob, is you're not building new fans. You're not creating new fans.
Star
You know
Trek
what I'm
hasn't
saying?
done. You're at DA. You're totally right. There's people that look along these franchises. Everybody has their favorite James Bond.
Mhm.
They've been making James Bond movies. There's 25 official Bond movies since 1962. Everybody's got their favorite Bond.
Yeah.
And it's still reasonably a money-making franchise, even though I would say the Daniel Craig era has done irrevocable harm to the Bond.
The last one, especially.
Oh, but I it's incredible to me that these franchises are the people that are being hired to run them. The Kurtzman era of Star Trek has destroyed a brand, the same way that J.J. Abrams destroyed 2 brands. He destroyed Star Trek and he destroyed Star Wars. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable that these people, there's a reason why J.J. Abrams has not directed a film since 2019.
Thank God.
Well, I
Thank
got to
God.
disagree a little bit with you, Robert, on if you slap a name on something, it will sell. Because if you share my screen here, George,
yeah,
I don't know if I don't remember this in the show, but I want it.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I've never seen this in my life.
I'm just kidding. Of
Oh,
course.
it's
No, but
that's
you're
real, by the
100%
way.
right.
And by the way,
it is real.
That's a real thing. I mean, but there was that goes back to, at the time they would repurpose toys. They would slap different names on them, and it was part of the whole. They did that
It's
a
like,
lot.
why does Superman have a motorcycle or an airplane?
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Those
and
toys all the
Corgi,
time.
you know, but yeah, it's the funny thing is history is the best judge of whatever. When was the last time you heard anybody talk about a Star Trek? Is there a definitive Star Trek Discovery episode? Is there one episode? Like if I were to ask anybody on this panel, just throw this out there, tell me your favorite episode of the original series of Star Trek.
Oh God, I could think of several.
Just name.
I like the one with the black and white face.
Well, Space
people.
Seed and that one are the easy ones to go with. Yeah.
Okay, but let that be your last Battlefield from the 3rd season. But you could name something, Tom.
Oh God.
Just throw out an episode. You don't even have to know the title. Give me a plot. Just say something.
I always kind of liked how they utilized the pilot episode in those two in the
Menagerie
episode
parts
of,
1 and 2.
Menagerie
See,
part 1
you've
and
got
2.
some
Yeah.
verbal. Throw out a Star Trek episode you like. Something that happened.
Oh my God. Please pick one.
Just anything. Just whatever comes first thing in your mind. When you think Star Trek, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Honestly, man, the first image besides, the original Spock and just sitting with my grandfather watching Star Trek. But the one that always kind of pops up in my head is Jean-Luc Picard becoming part of the Borg.
Okay. Best of Both Worlds Part 1. End of the 3rd season of Next Generation. DA?
Yep. I said Space Seed and The Trouble with Tribbles.
Okay, you got those great classic episodes.
Ones,
Grant,
the easy classics, yeah.
When you think Star Trek, Grant,
I've got to say probably Enemy Within. It's one of those episodes I've gone back and I've watched that many times.
Yeah, which
I think Kirk
first season,
has
Kirk
performed.
splits into 2. Everybody
absolutely loved it.
What about City on the Edge of Forever?
Well, I mean that's just universal.
I was gonna say if we can mention TNG, there's a ton of episodes.
Well,
I thought
it could be original, but I was just thinking Star Trek in general. No one remembers
drum
an
one.
episode of Discovery because there was not one episode of that show where they had a distinct, memorable plot in an hour.
Not for
that you
good
would
reasons, anyway.
When they
The
turned
drumhead,
Spock
that's
into
my
a
favorite.
psychopathic murderer. Remember that one when he started snapping people's necks to escape that thing?
I was
and
going to
he
say,
he's
yeah, I
all
remember
emotional?
episodes for the wrong reasons. Like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I remember that.
Is it called the Drumhead? That's one of my favorite Star Trek episodes.
with Gene Simmons, not the Gene Simmons from Kiss.
And I know, Rob, you can probably bounce off of this a little bit too. The problem with Star Trek and things like Strange New Worlds directly is that they've boxed themselves into this universe. It's like, get the fuck away from the Enterprise. Get the fuck away from Kirk.
Right.
Like TNG is the greatest example of how to successfully start a show that does not rely on the original cast. Sure, they had cameos and it is the Enterprise, but other than that, it has nothing to really do with the original show outside of it's in the same universe 100 years later.
Yep.
Right. Go.
100%.
Right.
And they did that. Look, Deep Space Nine. I mean, they brought over like O'Brien, but it's a brand new cast, brand new situation. But it earned its place. Voyager was a kind of a copy of a copy, but still brand new group of people.
I liked Enterprise. I enjoyed Enterprise.
Enterprise, same thing. I mean, it was a prequel, but it was far enough back that they had leeway with a brand new cast. I think the process
the last 2 seasons.
Can you imagine though to be a creator and work on a TV show that's never really yours? It's always belonging to the previous generation or who the people who created it.
Well, and that's the problem with a lot of people working on these IPs is they want to make them their own too much.
Yep.
But they put themselves in it instead of bringing the lore, the history.
Yeah.
And also,
I saw that clip that you shared a while back, Robert. The one where in Strange New Worlds in the new season, they turn into Vulcans.
Bro.
Well, what the fuck was that?
It hasn't even aired yet. And when you look at that, you're like, first of all, what I can't stand is the people writing these shows are dumb.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, if you're going to get your DNA transferred or whatever, it wouldn't change the way you think.
Yeah.
And suddenly these people have been transformed into Vulcans, so now they're talking like Vulcans. That's not
And
the
they're
way.
they're making fun of Spock because he's not Vulcan enough.
They've always made the fact that they don't understand what Spock is. First of all, here's the thing for Star Trek writers: they have to understand Vulcans have emotions. They just learned to control them.
Right.
That they adopted a belief system that Surak gave to them about logic that they needed to because their civilization was destroying itself, and so they came up with a new way to think, and they became the logical people. They have emotions, they just control them, and it's so weird because modern Star Trek writers don't get that. They don't understand, and they write. I'll give you another example.
Why aren't they ashamed?
In an episode of Strange New Worlds, they have Dr. Mbenga, when Spock gets turned into a human being, they give him his Vulcan lute, his Vulcan harp. And Dr. Mbenga, a human doctor, says, you should learn to play this. And it will help you because they have to tie it in. And people are like, oh, that's how Spock learned to play. Spock was a prodigy. He was, and when you see in the 3rd season episode, we've already seen him play his harp, but in the 3rd season episode, Requiem from Methuselah, he sits down at a harpsichord and he's reading when Flint, it's like, oh my God, this is a waltz that Brahms, this is an undiscovered Brahms waltz. And he sits down at the harpsichord, he plays it. He reads music because he knows what music is. And he doesn't just read music on Vulcan. He also sight reads music that was created on Earth. Okay. Which means he loves music. He loves art. That's why he's a badass character. And in Strange New Worlds, they're like, let's figure out how Spock got his Vulcan harp, and we'll give it to him. That's the dumbest shit ever. He's learned music since he was a small child. He's a musician, and we've seen it in the show. But they have to. Well, we have to. No one knows how he became a musician. No, he learned it from the time he was a kid. You dumbass. Right. And don't denigrate all they do is denigrate Spock.
But they do. Star Trek. What Terrible. I want to ask you, Robert, is you're in the industry, you're in Hollywood. Why do these writers have no shame to attach their name to it? Like you saw Unification. We talked about it on the phone. I think unification, it blew my mind. Sorry, had a couple of
Well,
drinks.
here's the thing.
When they look at that, don't they reflect? Human being looks in the mirror and goes, look at unification, no dialogue, and it's incredible. Here's what I wrote. It's not a one part of them to go, I want to achieve more. I want to create something that's lasting, that's memorable, that people know. Like Ronnie Cox. What was the episode in Star Trek The Next Generation? He always drove
Chain
me
of Command parts 1 and 2.
It drove
when he
me
played
crazy because I hated that character because I'm like, I was for Picard, and I was like, how the hell could you treat number one that way? But I remember it.
Yeah, because it was great. And he was, I mean, the thing about Jellicoe is you don't like him, but he was right.
Why was he right? Whoa, wait, how was he right?
Okay.
He wanted to leave Picard to die.
Because he was he was brought on board the Enterprise to specifically deal with the Cardassians. He prevented a war.
Right,
Go
but
back
what
and watch
about-
that episode again and look at it from the perspective that Jellicoe is right. That's why he's a great character.
But
He's
you
a
don't
great
think
character.
You don't think number one was right? He's like he kept being ignored by him. He's like he's applying his rules instead of Picard.
Right? No, Riker was totally wrong because Riker's like, there's no joy in what you do. He's like, bro, I'm not here to bring you joy. We are dealing with a situation where we could go to war with the Cardassians. You need to shape up and do the work.
Save
Watch it
millions
again.
of lives at the risk of one. That's
Yeah, that, by the way, that's my favorite Star Trek The Next Generation two-parter.
But
Chain of
see,
Command.
that's what I'm talking about. We can still talk about it. I can't name a single episode of Discovery or Strange New Worlds that I have any memory of.
None of them are. There's maybe one where the Klingon ambassador comes on and they murder him. He's murdered by our crew members. There's not one episode of modern Star Trek, not one that's worth remembering.
And don't those writers feel? I mean, are they not ashamed? Like, do they not go look?
They're
we don't
so
have-
far removed from this stuff, George. Like, that's the thing. The
Sure.
reason why TNG worked is a lot of the people that worked on there, and I'm sure Robert knows where I'm going with this, they were fans of Star Trek growing up, or they were people who worked on the original show.
Yep. And like Ron Moore, it was his first writing job.
Mm.
And he came on. The people that wanted to write for Star Trek wanted to write for Star Trek. And you know what I think the real problem is with a lot of these IPs, especially Star Trek has this problem. And I'll be the first to admit it. If you asked somebody today, let's say somebody who's 35 years old, there's a good bet that if you're 35 years old, you're kind of in the sweet spot of a Hollywood writer. I would imagine there's people who've never seen Star Trek, the original series. Because why would you? It was a show that aired from 66 to 69. If you're 35 years old, that means you were born in 1990. By the time you started watching TV or you became a fan of media and you started studying it, let's say you were 10 years old. You were 10 years old in 2000. Think about everything that exists before you were born. You can barely scratch the surface. So you grow up and you go to an Ivy League school or whatever, you became a great writer. It's a good bet that you've never seen a Star Trek episode.
But they should watch it before they could write anything.
But here's the thing. If you were to go back and you were going to ask somebody that was born in 1990 to go back and watch the original series, and they watched The Enemy Within, or they watched Arena with the Gorn, they're going to laugh at it. You cannot, because of the way things were done, the operatic nature, the color of the sets, there's so many things about the original series, or pick any show from the 1960s. There's no way in our world that you can look back unless you have a certain and take those things seriously. And that becomes the problem. Then Star Trek.
I disagree with that, Rob.
Well, I mean, we're different because but I'm saying your normal average, and yes, people can do that.
Well, I was just going to say, like, you can, the thing is, you're not wrong to a point, Robert, because, somebody who's a father of a 23-year-old, it was tough getting him to watch some older stuff and movies. He eventually had to come around himself. That being said, they're not watching the stuff. That was your initial point, and that's where I still agree with you, because if they were watching the stuff, it'd be different. Because a great example of this we always bring up is the prime example, and that is, Nicholas Meyer. He wasn't a fan of Star Trek, never watched the show when he was brought on board. But what did he do? He watched the show, and he got it. And then through that, he was able to extrapolate what made sense to him about the show and work with it.
Yeah, and he was also classically educated, and he came from a family of artists, things like that. The problem is now, here's the thing. When Star Trek was made in the 60s, the people that made Star Trek grew up reading books. They read literature because TV didn't exist. There was no they didn't have a childhood watching television because there was no TV. Star Trek was created. We weren't even 20 years into having television when Star Trek was created. Now, most of the people that work in media grew up only watching television and movies. So they don't even have a literary background. And yet all genres really begin in literature. And if you don't have a background in reading and knowing the sort of foundational principles of a genre, you don't know it. So I always say, I think the most influential when it comes to people working in fantasy, sci-fi, and horror that are writing for TV, their biggest touchstone is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Really?
And Angel, because they write everything that way. They write Star Trek that way. They write The Magicians that way. Take your pick. Whatever show you're thinking about, everybody is writing fucking Buffy. They're and
the Joss Whedon era, basically.
And look at the way Marty Nixon. And I'm not saying it's just that's their touchstone. Look at Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. There is no military decorum in that show. Captain Pike is just hanging out with the principal cast. Like, first of all, you have to borrow Uhura and Nurse Chapel. They didn't create new characters. They didn't even use the characters. They want to go back to the cage, the menagerie, and use it. They don't even have Dr. Boyce. The greatest scene in that is when Dr. Boyce comes in and has a drink with Chris Pike. That character, because he's an old white guy. Now, they eliminated that character entirely from Strange New Worlds. They looked at Star Trek and they won't even take the one character, an older guy, an older mentor, an older doctor. If you look at that, and the conversation the two of them have has been eliminated from Strange New Worlds entirely. And it's like, I'm not even talking woke DEI. Why would you get rid of that character? He was as good a character as Captain Pike was, and he's been completely eliminated from modern canon. And why? Well, I don't know, but it's
why.
It's incredibly but it's incredibly frustrating because all these writers that are working for Star Trek, they're fraudulent creators. They haven't done their work. They haven't done their homework. Star Trek is the most documented TV series in the history of television, both in universe and in terms of the making of the show.
Right.
None of these writers are going back and looking into that. I would say if I was in charge of Star Trek, I would say, okay, before you guys write this show, I would give everybody, you can't write for this show unless you've watched this and read this and looked at these manuals. And if you haven't bought in, you can't write for this show. And that's the frustrating part. Nobody does the work anymore. There's too much Star Trek. I'm not going to write it. I'll bet you that the people writing Strange New Worlds, that writing staff, they couldn't tell you 20 episodes of Star Trek. They went to BuzzFeed and watched.
Right. Of course they did. Or Wikipedia. Just look at this. This is almost sold out. One friend of mine told me from Sideshow. They're about to list it as selling out.
Bro, how great is that figure?
Right. It is. But none of the Discovery ones.
No,
aren't selling.
No, and they have to. What's really terrible is the licensees have to make, like Exo-6 had to make Discovery figures in order to get that license. And then they're stuck when they haven't sold out. All of their other figures, the only one that I think the only next generation figure that's remaining is the Judge Q figure. Right. And speaking, well, I've got new figures. I haven't even opened my Picard and Saavik yet.
The only modern figure I've ever seen anyone ever had is Zurich.
Well, and I think you're really hitting on a big point there, Robert, with the whole Joss Whedon generation coming in, because they're not really doing anything new, right? They're just taking that mentality and they're applying it to everything else. See, because like you brought up Star Trek, I would consider like Gene Roddenberry and that group in the first generation of television, and then you had the 70s and 80s kids come in, and they were the second generation, right? And that 80s being where TNG fell into, and that's the perfect example of what we keep talking about, was the generation that grew up completely with having television in their house the entire time they were alive.
Yep.
Right. So, and instead of trying to copy what Roddenberry and others had done before, they were trying to build upon and make it better. And how can we, because I mean, you go back, and I will say that like the 80s is probably one of the best times ever, and 90s for television, even compared to some of the stuff we get today, which is still good. But I mean, just the revolutions we had, in drama and the type of shows we were getting, and the boundaries they were pushing, and the messages and the things they were covering was just beyond anything they had probably dreamt of when television first had started broadcasting in the 50s.
Yeah, I mean, and also remember they were constrained by what they could and couldn't say at the time. I mean, one of the look, I maintain that the original Twilight Zone is one of the greatest TV shows ever, and because things took place in the Twilight Zone, they could deal with topics that you couldn't normally deal with on TV. Same was true of Star Trek. You couldn't directly talk about the Vietnam War. You couldn't directly deal with episodes of race.
But
So
you could subtly mention them through the story setting.
That was the thing, because when they take place in space or in the Twilight Zone, you can say, no, man, that's not about racism or that's not about politics. That takes place in the Twilight Zone. So you had I mean, if you look at the Twilight Zone, some of the great fantasists of the mid 20th century, like Richard Matheson or Charles Beaumont, these were guys that were writing novels, they were writing short stories, they were writing screenplays. They were men and women. Dorothy Fontana, who was writing on Star Trek, they were people of letters. These were educated people that had a great love of writing, and they wrote in many different mediums. The people that are writing today, they're not novelists and short story writers and essayists. They're people that are only writing television because they only watched television. And they've only watched specific television of the last 20 or 30 years.
That's a great point, Rob. Like, you need storytellers. You need people that know the craft of storytelling, that have the heart of I always say you need to have the heart of an old grandfather sitting in front of a campfire with his grandchildren, just, spinning tales. Like, you need that type of energy back in Hollywood. We don't have storytellers anymore. We have people that are kind of taking over IPs. You know what I'm saying?
And they're only recycling things that they've already seen.
Yeah, it's like AI. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I was getting at, because that whole thing's been severed, because they used to take books most of the time, and that was where a lot of these IPs would come. Like Jaws, a great example, right? It started as a book. That's where they would pull a lot of these things. Now, instead of actually going to books and other places for stories, like you're saying, DA, like they broke that lineage, and now they're just going back to IPs. Right. Yeah. Instead of finding a book or finding an actual original script or a story that comes from somewhere, it's like, well, how can I sell this? Is it an IP? Is it a superhero? Is it a Fast and the Furious? What can I do with this? But did you forget that John Wick was at one time an original IP? It's like they really have.
Perfect.
Yeah. But they're not even taking old stories and like even trying to do anything new with them, right? Because I mean, even Tarantino, people love to say he stole it, whatever. But I mean, the thing is, though, he would take things from certain genres like blaxploitation, but the way he did them were different. The way he filmed them were different.
He put his voice into it. Yeah, he made them his own. He borrowed.
That's what I mean by.
It's like they say, good artists.
Tarantino.
That's what I'm talking about when it comes to the heart of a storyteller, somebody that tells stories, that's somebody that, like I said, an old grandfather just sitting around a campfire talking to his grandkids. Hey, let me tell you the story about this crazy situation, whatever. And the kids are just enraptured because they're like, wow, what a great story. You need those types of people in Hollywood. They're just taking IPs, like Tom said, and they're just saying, hey, how can I make money off of this? How can I do something with this? But they're not storytellers. They don't know how to tell a good story any longer. That's the problem we have in Hollywood.
That's because they're runaways from gender studies homeless shelters. That's what Hollywood to me has mostly become.
But also,
we don't have real film. How many real filmmakers can you name off the top of your head? Robert Eggers. I saw Nosferatu. To me, he's
one of the few younger guys. Yeah,
that's like true storytelling.
I mean, there's Chris Nolan. There's a bunch of other.
I'm like, but out of the thousands, we're talking about what, five,
a handful,
6?
Maybe.
But I would say, I mean, Verbal and I have a deep love of Walter Hill's film The Warriors.
Oh God!
Now if you think about The Warriors, that was based on a novel that was written in the 60s by a guy named Saul Urich. But The Warriors is also based on an ancient Greek. Xenophon wrote it about a man named Cyrus. That it goes back 2,000 years. So you can watch Walter Hill's The Warriors, which, by the way, is a banger of a movie. And if you get the new Arrow,
still is to this day.
You can watch that movie. That movie it rules. I mean, and the new version that came out from Arrow last year is incredible. When you watch it, it's so modern in terms of it. I mean, people are going to laugh at some of the fashions in it, but it's almost like a post-apocalyptic fantasy movie
It kind of takes place in its own
brothers?
world.
It's talking about the Russo brothers one, or that's coming
no,
out.
I'm
Or the
talking
one
about Walter Hill's The Warriors that came out in '79.
no. I know Walter Hills. I have it. I'm talking about. Isn't there a new one coming out? The Warriors. The
There's
TV
been talk
series?
about it for
There have been a lot of talk. I don't know if this happened.
Tony Scott was working on a remake when he took his own life.
Oh,
Yeah,
because I know the Russo brothers said that they're making a TV series. I don't know.
If that got greenlit or not, but that's still a possibility.
I mean, the problem is once you have cell phones, that movie's over. but it's still a great. But
you
the
guys
thing
are
is,
making
it
a
goes
great
back to Greek myths. I mean, you had a novelist who went back to a Greek myth. Star Wars. It's like George Lucas looking at Kurosawa's movies.
Oh God!
You know,
movies used to parallel music a lot, and I'm glad you brought up Tarantino because I like to use him as a great example. Because like, what were the rap artists doing in the 80s and 90s? They were taking all the 60s and 70s soul and funk music and remixing it and making something new and putting their own voice to it, and that's what Tarantino does, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the old directors used to kind of do in their own way. And look at music, how music has changed. You had what started with like Buddy Holly and Elvis and Little Richard and Chuck Berry, transitioned into like, the Beatles and Jackie Wilson and, God, I just forgot his name, James Brown and stuff like that. And all that stuff in the 60s and the Beatles. And then in the 70s, you got Led Zeppelin and all that. It all just kept flowing into new things and building upon new things, but it was all based on what they had heard before, which if you listen to all that old stuff was based in old music all the way back to the classical music era. But now you get to modern music. What is it a lot of times? It's samples of samples of samples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all it is. Like I was sitting in the store one day and I said this to the clerk. I'm like, I'm listening to this song. I'm like, this song is actually sampling Mariah Carey, who was, or actually it's probably sampling somebody who was sampling Mariah Carey, who was sampling the Tom Tom Club originally.
Yeah.
It's like, do they even know where their samples are coming from anymore? Probably not. And that's kind of what movies have become now. They're not bringing anything new to the table. They're literally just sampling things that we've knew from the past. And it almost feels like that's why everything feels like it's being written by AI, even if it is being written by people, because you're bringing up the exact point, Robert, is they don't know how to bring any new storytelling elements to the table. They just know how to copy these things that they've seen before, copy the kind of feeling they had of this thing before, but it doesn't really jive quite well. Sure, once in a while we'll get a Cobra Kai or something like that does actually feel like it's coming from true fans, but those are the exceptions to the rules, it feels like anymore. And Star Trek is one of those brands that it's like Kurtzman and those guys were the wrong guys to have
The
be a part
absolute
of this.
wrong guys. But the funny thing the funny thing about it is I think art should always reflect the time in which it is made. I mean, what is storytelling? Art is our way of defining the human experience through example. Like whenever it's like when you tell somebody the story of what happened to you yesterday, you're trying to convey a story that people will relate to. The great stories, whether they're fantasy and science fiction or whether they're just dramas or rom-coms or whatever, what they're trying to do is convey human truths through narrative that we all recognize. And I've always said that the most truthful fiction, I mean, the best fiction is the most truthful, because we have to recognize in a fictional story the reality of our existence. Like, okay, the way people relate to each other. If you tell us a great story, we understand the human experience through that story. I mean, even in like the Warriors, you've got the leader, you've got the fighter, you've got all these different groups represented in the 9 delegates from the 100 gangs,
The archetypes.
the Warriors. They're archetypes. And the more truthful that those archetypes are, because we all know different kinds of people. But what's happened is, rather than focus like Star Wars, rather than try and take a narrative that is based in reality, Star Wars has only become about itself.
Yeah,
Ouroboros, it's
absolutely.
eating its own tail. No one is telling a human story within the confines of the Star Wars universe. I mean, they've tried, but they don't really get it because it's all contrived. It's not real. It's not based on anything. Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, Luke's a farmer and Han Solo's a truck driver.
That's because they're not honest anymore.
It's 2 blue-collar dudes
Right.
that get caught up in this story, and we relate. You relate. I mean, Luke is all of us. When he's looking at the twin-setting sons of Tatooine, we're all that guy.
Right.
Even if you're a male, female, old or young, we all understand what looking out at the horizon, wishing, God, I wish I was anywhere else but here.
Right.
There
It's
is
the same
truth.
reason.
There's truth in Star Wars. There's truth in that vision.
But they're
because
not
it's-
tapping into that, Rob. They're not tapping back
No.
into the original vision. That's
no,
the
and,
problem.
but they're trying to copy. They're like, okay, we're going to give you an analog in Luke in
Yes.
Rey, but then they forget to give us the reality of Rey.
Because they don't know, they don't have the experience, the life experience, nor the historical knowledge.
Well, that and it's a
nor
generic.
the fantasy, nor the books. But it's like Do you like SG1? I started watching Stargate SG1 again.
It's a
after
blind
20.
spot for me that people have had me watch, but it's pretty damn good.
It is, but again,
I've been asking you for years, Rob, to watch it.
I've been
One of the
watching
first
it
treks
again.
together, I was like, you got to watch it.
You have to watch it. It has all the archetypes you need, the classic Grecian heroic archetypes, the classic ones, and it pulls you in. The first season was done by Showtime, then it goes to Sci-Fi, and you can see the quality drop in the filming, but the stories, they're still there. And again, it's something that's missing. You nailed it. What they did, kind of like with the Star Wars sequels, right? They copied a copy, right? But they didn't have the heart or the life experience or the film history or the book knowledge to actually write it. They're like, it's like taking a picture of a picture and going, but what do we say? I don't know.
Because they went at it backwards, right? They were trying to put in, well, we got to have a female lead, right?
Right.
And that was their first notion. It wasn't so much, well, what about this story that we need to tell? What is there a story here for Star Wars that we should tell? Where are all these characters that, where would they be now? They didn't ask themselves those questions first. The first thing that was mandated, I guarantee you, is that it's going to be a female lead.
Right? They had to cast down before the script. That was
exactly.
the problem.
And the next thing is you're going to have a secondary black lead, and then you're going to have this, and you're going to have that. And that was how it was set up, right? And that's the problem with these things nowadays is instead of them naturally coming about, because look, Star Wars is a very personal story to George Lucas. This is probably the second most personal story besides American Graffiti, right? Because American Graffiti, No, that's just his fun. That's just his experimental film. I'm talking about as far as him personally, like his personal experiences, his own life. Like, because you look at American Graffiti, he is each one of those characters.
Yeah,
right. In Star Wars, he is Luke Skywalker, but he wants to be Han Solo.
Yep.
See, that's just it. And that's why that movie works, is because he's taking himself in this that childhood like dream he had of wanting to get out of Modesto and being a race car driver and all those other things that he had, and he's channeling that into Luke.
Yep.
Right. So he's giving him that motivation. What was their motivation for writing Rey? Make her a woman.
That was Kathleen Kennedy. The Force is female.
But that's problematic. I mean, even the character of Finn, like John Boyega is a great actor.
Great
And
character.
the idea of a stormtrooper developing a conscience and going against the grain, that's great story material.
That should have been the movie right there.
100%.
Yeah,
that should have been the movie.
That was the trailer that we got in Australia. We didn't even see Ray in our original trailer. All we saw was John Boyega in the entire thing. When that's what we thought it was.
That was a big bait and switch.
You don't have that trailer, do you? Anywhere? I would love to see that.
I mean,
No, I
but
saw it at
the
the
thing
cinemas.
is, that's a great story. I mean, Finn, talk about somebody being done dirty.
Yeah.
You introduce, that was probably the best concept. I mean, Poe Dameron is just a grown-up Luke. It's you have to have an X-Wing pilot. But they actually had a character that added, first of all, a stormtrooper that doesn't want to be a stormtrooper. That's a great Star Wars character right off the bat. That's a great human character. Somebody that wants to go against the grain, does not want to be part of this oppressive empire, that has a conscience, because when they're murdering those poor people on Jakku at the beginning of the movie, that was his I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to murder people in cold blood. I thought that they set that up and then they did nothing with it, and then he got done dirty in the next two movies.
They made him a janitor.
They
really
made him a
did.
fucking janitor.
They made him a space
Chinese
janitor.
market. That's because of the Chinese market. They valued that Chinese market more than they did the integrity of the story.
No,
They're
but-
like, oh no, we can't have a black guy being the hero here, and they ripped
Robert's
it out.
100% right, because they could even drew a parallel to slavery, right? It was right underneath their noses. They want to be so fucking woke, yet they don't even see the obvious parallels you could draw there. Because you're right. First of all, you can also answer what happened to the clones. Well, what happened to the clones is they all died out, and then they forced people into being stormtroopers. That's your slave analogy right there. So you have this kid who's basically raised to be a fucking stormtrooper, and he's watching all his friends die off, and he's watching people that are innocent being killed, and he's like, you know what, fuck this, I don't want to be a part of this. So then he leaves. Well, of course he's on the run. They're coming after him because he's a former stormtrooper. Right there, all that stuff could have been used in a great way.
By the way, that goes all the way back to antiquity. A slave that doesn't want to be a slave. And I'm not talking about the transatlantic slave trade. I'm talking about going back to Greece. Going back to Herodotus, and you're going back to
Euripides.
All of that.
Exactly.
Stuff. And
but I'll go the next step further, man. It should have been ex-stormtrooper turned Jedi. He should have been the one with the Force, right?
Yeah.
Like, to me, that would have been a way better story, man. An ex-stormtrooper becomes Jedi.
And you could have said it was the Force working its way in.
I was going to say that.
Exactly. The Force Awakens in The Force Awakens. Like, it's literally, that's what I thought we were getting. I literally thought that we were getting that from that trailer, from that first trailer, when he pops up out of the desert and he takes off his helmet, and it's like, oh, okay, the Force just awakened in this stormtrooper, and now he's on a mission to try to, right some wrongs or whatever. I didn't know what to expect, but they literally had a great movie right in front of them, and I don't know what the hell I don't know why.
And they could have paralleled Star Wars.
Not knowing how to tell a damn story, not knowing what's important, not knowing how the audience is going to feel about something. If you have a character that you'd say, hey, this is a really interesting character, let's keep going. Instead, they had to double down on Rey because Kathleen Kennedy's the president of Lucasfilm, and they just absolutely shit the bed with what could have been an amazing, retelling. And then, of course, getting the trio, Han, Luke, and Leia, back in the Millennium Falcon for one damn scene.
That's the biggest tragedy of all.
Terrible.
God, man.
They will never atone for that. They'll never be able. But more so than any of this kind of stuff, when you decide, here's what I can't stand. Women and men, spoiler alert, are different than one another. And they come at life. If you're a woman and you're born into the world, from a very young age, you have a power to create life within you. Now, yes, you do need male DNA, whatever. But when you're growing up as a woman, from the very beginning, from the time you're very young, that you have this certain power. It's feminine power. It's a feminine energy that men don't have. And your life, you have a certain knowledge, a certain way of coming at the world that is different and unique to you that men don't have. And I would say that someone like James Cameron writes a movie like Aliens, and the feminine power, only Ripley, who had her motherhood rekindled after losing her daughter, in order to protect Newt. There's a strength in that only all those space Marines, even Vasquez, they all got wiped out. But it was only Ripley that goes in, and what does? She confronts another woman, another feminine force, which is the fucking alien queen.
Right.
And you have two mothers. Now, call it overt, call it covert, but one of the great things about James Cameron is he understands that when you're writing a female character, it's not just it's not just a male analog. Ripley was strong because she was a woman. She was not written as a woman who's being a man. Ripley has, especially in Aliens, feminine power that men don't have, which is why she's able to succeed. And the whole thing is she's protecting her daughter, essentially. And that makes it interesting. That makes it something that the character
DEI wants to blur those lines, right? DEI wants to blur the lines between masculinity and femininity. So it's all a wash. And it's like, okay, now like normal, regular people, we walk through life seeing male and female. When you guys try to blur the line, you're doing something so far outside the grain that we can't relate to it. We just
it's also a
DEI
lie.
Shit that they're giving us. That's
a lie.
Right.
And it's a lie. It's a lie.
Well, it's all surface level.
But that's why right now it's like we were watching earlier before you came, Robert. We were watching the Daredevil trailer. We didn't finish it. What did you think of that? It's like, is someone coming to their senses? Are they going
I
back?
think so.
To
That trailer's
story?
dope. That
It
scene when
is.
Kingpin and Matt Murdock are at the picnic
heat
or
scene?
the table talking.
I got it right here.
Can you blame me?
I mean,
can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
I love this.
Why did you stop being a
It's the
vigilante?
scene in Heat.
That's
It
what
is
I said, yeah.
between
Yeah.
Pacino
It's the
and
heat
De Niro.
scene, yeah.
And it's exactly Pacino and De Niro.
Yeah, and that's why it's
perfect,
cool.
Rob. Perfect.
Nailed it.
And was crossed. It's hard to come to terms with a violent nature. Hating the power it has over us.
This city can't go unchecked.
The only slight criticism I have is I've seen Bullseye's costume, and
don't tell me, please.
I don't know.
Tell me.
Maybe it'll look better on once it's all done and filmed, but it didn't look
What's
great.
wrong with it? What's wrong with it?
But the tone of this is correct.
Oh no, I'm looking forward to this probably more than anything else. Like I think they've nailed everything. Like I said, if I had any little critique, it's just that.
What's wrong with the costume?
I wish they would have gave him a better costume.
I don't disagree with you. I think you're right.
Is it like
it's just kind of generic. It's not like his comic book costume, or even close to it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of generic and whatever. I mean, as long as they nail the character right, which they have in that last season. I like the actor who played Bullseye. I think they wrote the character very well in season 3 of Daredevil.
Kidding me? This is his costume? Just a fucking mask and a...
Yeah. I mean, it might look different. I don't know, but...
This is shit.
I know.
Remember that time that Penguin played Bullseye?
I was just about to say that. It's just like,
Yeah.
everyone's forgetting about Colin Farrell.
Right.
He
I
wanted a
remember-
fucking costume.
Bullseye, man.
Well,
That
he
was
got
a-
a fucking costume.
But even Colin Farrell's costume in that movie was better than the one we're getting in this series. But again, it's a small gripe because it
Shooting an
does
old
look
lady with
really
a
good.
peanut on a plate.
And that tattoo on his
Never
head.
forget that scene.
Or the carving on his head.
I just don't understand why we can't get a comic accurate like Bullseye costume. Like it seems like it'd be pretty
Because
easy
it looks
to do.
pretty cringe. That's why.
No. There's a way you can modernize it where it's still like it looks like the costume, but more modern.
Honestly, I got to give them props for what they did in the Daredevil movie because, like, the whole having it burned, the bullseye burned into.
Yeah, no, I think
Colin's head.
that's
I think
better
that
than what
worked.
we're getting in this show. Like that costume was better. But
And
I love
usually, I
his
mean,
Bullseye.
Marvel's
I
done a
mean-
good job with costumes, and I agree. I don't think that costume's good.
No,
But
let's
again,
do it.
I wait to I'll reserve
Wait to judge.
yeah, because it might look different once it's all said and done.
Yeah, they'll just add something to it. Maybe like a...
The pictures we
one-
saw were behind the scenes, so those are always kind of wonky.
I'll say this. Anything is going to be better than a one-legged disabled hippie-hoppy Indian. So,
How
okay.
dare you?
I mean, I look.
He's a
I think
national
that
treasure.
I do think that.
See,
look,
that's just stupid.
yeah, it's not good. I mean,
No.
I
Do you
freely
remember
admit.
the original Daredevil trailer? We didn't get any of the masks. We only had him with his like balaclava stuff on. We didn't see
Right.
any of the original stuff. So
I'll be
it could
right
also
back.
be
Give me a
something
minute.
like that.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine that? Let's finish watching this. It's just... Echo still bothers me that it exists, that somebody spent money on it, that $1 was spent.
In all fairness, she's never heard any criticism about it.
Really? I've said at least 5 or 6 times. Yeah, I know. I've had a couple of drinks. I'm happy. It's a celebration. The camera's gone off a few times. So, hey,
That was
Mouse
good.
World is here. Mouse World 666 gifted 5 George
Wow.
the Giant Player memberships. Hell yeah. Thank you, my friend. Actually, we need to finish up the super chats. 2 Penny Puppet for $5. George, what did you think of Cat People from 1982?
Oh,
my
great movie.
Cat People with Kinski? Are you kidding me? That's
Great
one of my
movie.
favorite movies when you have the panther and it bites off his arm.
Yeah. Oh man.
Her transformation. We had American Werewolf in London and The Howling, then Wolf.
Oh, the Wolfen. That was good too.
Yeah.
Hell yes, you've named them all. Cat People. Love it. Have it.
See
own it.
again though, man. Back when horror, when monsters had lore.
Yep. When they were actually real, when it actually made you afraid. There is one horror movie I have not seen from one of my favorite directors. It's The Witch from Robert Eggers. I still haven't seen it.
I haven't seen that one either.
I've been waiting. I don't know what I've been waiting for. I just haven't seen it. Thoughts on narrowboating with Nigel for £2. Congratulations on 1 year. And thank you, George. Hey, if you don't know, thank you, my good friend. Please go check out Thoughts on Narrowboating with Nigel. He just crossed 1,000 subscribers. He's
My
got some
man.
good stuff. Go check him out. Go subscribe. Film Threat Alan. Hey,
Hey.
$5. Alan, we got to have you back on the channel. I haven't seen you here in a few months. Always love your takes. If Superman fails, though, I don't understand how you like the new Star Trek movie. I got to ask you about that. If Superman fails, Fantastic Four will fail. See, that's what I want to know. If Fantastic Four fails, like competing head to head with Superman, and Superman succeeds, that's not the end of the superhero genre. I think if Superman fails, that's the end of everything.
Well, it's everything for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
No, you don't think
look,
it's under the
I don't
superhero
think
genre?
these movies are necessarily competing with each other. I mean, they are in some way.
They're 10 days
No,
apart.
on some level, yes, they are. But my thing is, the Fantastic Four has, and I can't believe I'm saying this, kind of a more limited fan base compared to Superman.
I
You know
totally
what I mean?
Right.
I think people know about the Fantastic Four because of the previous movies.
Mhm.
Most of them have no idea about the comic. I think if Superman fails, it's bad for Warner Brothers. I think if Fantastic Four fails, it's not necessarily the end of the MCU because of Doomsday, because of Secret Wars, right? Because of all these things that are coming up. But I think it's going to hurt Disney for sure.
Well, let me ask you something, Dante. Superman, I think we can all agree, is the ultimate. Superman and Batman, Wonder Woman, the Trinity.
Yeah, it's the top three, the big three of DC.
If Superman fails, you don't think that's a sign of that's the end? We've reached the end of the superhero era? Like
I have been
Superman.
predicting that.
I don't think it's the end, but I think well, here's what's going to happen. I don't think it's necessarily the end. I think we're going to get less. If it fails, we're going to get a lot less. Because here's the thing. I think for them to completely just abandon the genre because this movie fails would be crazy. There's no way they're going to do that. But I think there's going to be less, and I think a lot of Gunn's plans are going to get changed.
I agree. I agree.
So what do y'all think failure for Superman looks like?
Under $700 million.
Under
it has to make $1 billion. It has to make
$1 billion, and if it makes at least 800, they'll say they'll pretend that's a win.
Yeah.
But Gunn has already kind of hinted that if Superman fails, he's done. We got to remember he's only got a 4-year contract, and he's already like a year or so into that.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers is not going to piss around. I agree with you to a point, Verbal. Like, I have a feeling if Superman fails and all these movies fail this year from MCU, like they have been recently, that have not been Deadpool or Spider-Man, going forward, they're not going to spend they're going to basically be
you don't
like
think
Westerns.
It's over? Wait a minute. You don't think
it wouldn't be like over.
Not over, but just.
But Verbal's
less.
right. Like they're only going to be doing TV shows and very minimal, small budgeted films. The only time you're going to see them spend anything like $100 million or more on any of these superhero movies going forward is if it's Spider-Man or Batman. And even Batman's up there, and that's kind of the problem that I was reporting with Warner Brothers, is that the Batman should have made $1 billion. That's even though in the press they tried playing it off as a success. There was a lot of people going, wait a minute, the Joker made $1 billion. What is the Batman's excuse? And you can sit there, the 3 hours, this and the this and that and the other. No, the problem was people are getting sick and tired of this. They're not trusting superhero movies. They're not going to see them right away like they used to. Right now, Superman is poised to have the biggest opening of the year, but we'll see how that rolls off. And then you got Fantastic Four coming up right on the heels of it.
Right, people. Tom, look at this though. If Superman doesn't succeed, they have Supergirl coming after it. That's not going to pull anybody if Superman fails.
But here's the thing that I think there's a couple of things happening. First of all, tomorrow, I'm saying this as a lifelong registered Democrat. Come at me, bro. We have a new president.
I'll be holding the stream.
He won the popular vote. There's a new tenor in the United States. And I hope that the next 4 years are incredibly productive and great for America and the rest of the world. I'm really hoping for that. Superman is inherently an American iconic figure.
Truth, justice,
when Superman, truth, justice, and the American way, created by the children of immigrants.
Right.
If the country is looking optimistic at our outlook by the time Superman comes out, I think the country itself, depending on what happens with the Trump presidency in the first 6 months of him taking office again, could actually help the tenor of the superhero movie if it does two things. What Marvel and what all these superheroes, what Zack Snyder's movies are missing, again, the Snyder Bros will come at me. I loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. I loved Man of Steel. Those movies, Justice League more so, they're not fun. There's no joy in those movies. You're not smiling and feeling great. When you watch Captain America the Winter Soldier and he steps into that elevator.
Oh, God, that's fun.
He looks around at Rumlow, looks around, and he realizes these motherfuckers, they're gonna take him out. He's like, shall we begin, or whatever he says.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Does anybody
it's a
want to
great
get
action
off
scene
before
where
we get-
Captain America kicks ass. He
Yeah.
kicks ass against the bad guys in SHIELD headquarters. It's fun. It's fun, and it's set up. Those movies are dark. They got all this stuff happening. The Marvel Cinematic Universe used to have the perfect blend of serious storytelling coupled with fun,
Yes,
which
they
is
do.
which is
Used
the
to.
superhero genre
Anyway.
in a nutshell. You watch Zack Snyder's movies, and I like them, but they're so portentous, not pretentious, portentous. You're like, God, man, you have young Luther giving a bottle of piss or a mason jar
Right.
of piss to Holly Hunter. That is not fun.
No, it isn't.
There's
But-
nothing. There's no fun in that. And those movies suffered. Look, they gave us these incredible, beautiful tableaus right out of Alex Ross paintings, and Zack Snyder was very good at that. But those movies don't have joy. And even the MCU, I think Infinity War and Endgame are Godfather 1 and 2. Every time Godfather's on, I can't stop watching. I think Infinity War and Endgame, in the grand scheme of things, are two of the greatest fantasy
I
films
agree.
ever made. They are so much fun to watch. When Ebony Maw shows up in New York, and there's a wizard who wants a thing, and you got Tony Stark. It's hilarious. They make jokes about Ben and Jerry's ice cream in the middle of Thanos is coming.
the
Tony,
Hulk. Yeah, the
the
Hulk.
whole movie is hilarious, and it's so much fun.
So much so, actually, so much so that
Rob,
if they had only made those two movies and there was no other MCU, comic book fans would be blown away.
But you know what?
Blown
Those
away.
movies work so well because we already know those characters.
Exactly.
And it's so, you look at those things and it's like, that's the ticket. And the reason that Zack Snyder's movies, and the same what Tom was saying about the Batman, where's the fun?
Where's the fun?
Even like in Nolan's Batman and Dark Knight, the whole scene when Joker walks in and talks to the conclave of villains. You want to see a magic trick? Bam! The pencil going to the guy's eye. That's fun. You love that guy.
Hell yeah!
It's fun, and they've forgotten that
They've
formula.
forgotten how to have fun. They've forgotten how to
that's
live.
the thing. I love Zack Snyder's movies, but I would have loved them a lot more if they were fun. They're not.
I love
fun.
Man of Steel. I like Man of Steel except for the
I do
ending.
too.
I
But
didn't
it's,
the
it's like I
ending.
always say about
Superman-
Zack Snyder, man. Zack Snyder is a very good visual director.
Beautiful.
But that's it. Like he's not a storyteller.
Right.
He's just a visual director.
Well, I
As
flat out
long-
hated
I-
Man of Steel, but
I liked it. As long as
I hate every minute of it.
As long as he is directing somebody else's material, it's always great. 300, Watchmen, when he writes it.
Well, the thing about Man of Steel is Superman is a joyous character.
Yes.
And when look, the fact that the reason I'm so all in on James Gunn's Superman is the picture of Superman with Krypto, and then there's the world there. I'm like, that's Superman for all seasons and all that. I'm hoping that in a world where superhero characters always have already existed, I'm hoping that movie's fun.
I
It's
hope
going to
so.
have, and if it is, and when I say fun, it's like, look, somebody said Endgame is horrible. Endgame is not horrible. It's got a lot of maybe plot holes and all that, but it's a movie where Captain America and Black Widow have like Captain America says, I saw whales in the East River. It's got little moments of characterization, and then you've got all this great fun stuff. I mean, come on.
I want Christopher
when
Reeves.
Sam Wilson says "on your left,"
Yeah, that's,
which is a mirror of something that was introduced in Avengers. I mean, in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, when Captain America says "on your left" and Sam Wilson gets pissed because he's being lapped on the mall. That callback. Come on. When you were in the theater watching Endgame and you heard Sam Wilson say that, your heart soars, man.
Hell yeah, of course it does.
That was dope, man.
It
That was
soars.
awesome.
You're like, oh, and then you watch that scene when the portals open when Black Panther steps out and everybody. I'm getting.
Well,
goosebumps.
what you're talking about right
Hell
now,
yeah,
what you're
you-
talking about right now is probably not only the peak of comic book superhero films, but the peak financially as well. Because to support what I've been saying from before, if you go back, there was just recently a report how since 2019, the box office has gone down by billions, right?
Yeah.
And the exact amount of billions that it's gone down is the exact amount of boosting billions they got from the comic book movie craze, basically between 2010 to 2019. And now they're losing all that amount. So basically at this point, they've already lost whatever revenue they're making from the superhero movies. That's why I'm sure a lot of these producers are just going to kick back and go, wait a minute here. We're not making any money off these. This is not working anymore. It's not worth the risk. And that's why I believe the story when Tom Rothman come out, or they said that Tom Rothman put, the brakes on all this Spider-Man stuff. And then some people are like, oh, no, we're still doing. No, you're only doing stuff that has Spider-Man in it. And that's it. Otherwise, it's all been completely wiped away from the slate because Tom Rothman has been one of those people who's been vocally against these superhero movies from the start. And he's been predicting that this bubble's going to burst because at some point they're going to need to do regular movies again. And he's ready to do that. Warner Brothers is kind of ready to do that. Disney's going to have to learn how to do that. They're the worst right now because all they know how to do is just revamp their fucking cartoons from the past and make failures out of Marvel and Star Wars. That's all they can do now. So yeah, and Universal and the rest are kind of in the middle. And Paramount, talking about Star Trek again from before, we don't even know what's going on there. And the thing with Kurtzman is because now the regulatory thing might not go through. We'll have to see how Trump deals with that too. So if he lets it go through or not, because right now they're kind of just sitting in limbo.
Sky to answer by. But let's finish up real quick this the Daredevil trailer, and then we got to finish up the super chats. Just want to finish this because we started. I hate not finishing.
Needs to be broken. Chaos must reign. Am I putting the hatchet down?
See, that's fun.
I was raised to believe in grace. But I was also raised.
Well, is that Bullseye's other costume there?
To believe in retribution.
What is
Does he have two costumes, or is that a different character? Back it up a little bit.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
think
character with a white
Do
suit.
you think Daredevil knows the different
No,
colors?
that's White Tiger.
That's White Tiger.
Oh, that's White Tiger? Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Do you think he knows that there's different colors?
He doesn't know
know.
which color they are. He's
He's
just
probably
guessing.
I don't know.
He knows pink very well. I hope that I'm saying that because I hope they erase the walk of shame from She-Hulk.
That was so
That was just disgusting.
Well, that thing is, there's a difference between fun and stupid.
Yeah,
Like
cringe.
that was. I mean, She-Hulk could have been I was so looking forward to She-Hulk. I mean, Moon Knight and She-Hulk were some of the most disappointing things I've ever seen in terms of what I anticipated and what they turned out to be.
She-Hulk twerking.
I mean, I thought it was going to be the Byrne. Take the Byrne comic. There it is, right there. Take it. But I do think that someone says in the Anthony Mackie doesn't deserve the hate. I love Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie's great, but
I
as
love his
Falcon,
portrayal. I loved Sam Wilson from the moment he's first introduced in Winter Soldier.
I do.
The fact that he's
he was my favorite. He was my favorite MCU character. I love the modernization of a character without destroying the original character, and that's what
Correct.
they did with Sam Wilson. They made the Falcon from this cheesy guy in a feathered costume to someone who was turned out to be, like I said, my favorite character. It was my original channel's YouTube logo was a cartoon drawing of Sam Wilson.
He was I when I was a kid, I had a Power Records Captain American Falcon story, and Baron Zemo's son, and I've always loved Sam Wilson. I love the Mego action figure of Sam Wilson of Falcon.
Yeah.
and it's like what they did to that character in Falcon and turning him into Captain America, which could make sense. I mean, I did like in Endgame, but they should have allowed Falcon to keep his own identity. Like,
Right,
I mean, I know it was a comic.
I wanted
thing
it to
and all
go
that.
with Bucky like they did in the comics. I think that would have worked, and then pass on.
But
yeah,
it was Omicron. That's the problem. Everyone's ended up being. It's like Thor's hammer. Everyone's had a turn at it. That's the problem. So then they can just say, "Oh, look, now this person can be this because it's now quote unquote comic book accurate."
Yeah, I mean, look, no one wants Captain America: Brave New World to be better than to be as good. I mean, I want that movie to be great. It's been troubled. I don't understand how a movie like that has been reshot 3 times.
I don't think it's going to be able to succeed. It's almost at a $500 million budget. How
I
are you
don't.
gonna make-
I don't either. It still has to be good. But I think that how did Marvel? They would never have gone forward in 2012 or something like that if they didn't have a rock solid script and the director they hired. I'm sorry, just they don't. They had people like think about it. You had Joss Whedon directing the first 2 Avengers movies.
But
you
they
had
allowed him to be him.
Kenneth Branagh, who directed Thor. His
Thor,
first movie was Henry V that he
Right,
started.
but they allowed Kenneth Branagh to be himself. He gave his vision.
Joe Johnson did Captain America, the first Avenger. I mean, Joe Johnson coming from ILM, who directed The Rocketeer. I mean,
Right.
it's like, and then they moved to these directors. I mean, I don't want to speak ill of people that do work, but it's like, did they forget their own? I mean, Kevin Feige got James Gunn, who made Slither and Super, 2 movies for $3 million each, and gave him $170 million. James Gunn knew how to work with the studios, but Guardians of the Galaxy is distinctively James Gunn.
Yeah,
You know, they allowed a director to come in. The Russo brothers, they directed Communities. They made one feature. They had Marcus and McFeely writing for the Russo brothers, doing the Captain America movies and writing the Avengers films. They had the perfect synergy. And then they went off the fucking rails.
Well,
The
they
people
did,
they
because
started
they
to
loved
hire
it.
to direct these films is like they were
Because
totally
they thought
not
they won.
experienced.
Because Robert, they thought they won. They went full woke.
They wanted directors they could control. That was the
Right.
problem. And Kevin Feige was trying to run the MCU like it was a television studio or something.
Well,
like that.
and that was imposed on him. I mean, again,
Yeah.
the worst when Disney Plus came along, they figured we're going to stamp Star Wars and we're going to stamp Marvel on these things, and they're going to be good. You can't do that.
No,
you
I think
can't.
when they lost Perlmutter was the biggest change because I think he was the voice of
Perlmutter
reason.
was Perlmutter is the reason that Phase 1 was as good as what it was, and
Checks
that's why
and
it still
balances
stands
guy,
out as the best phase.
I agree. Perlmutter,
For better
I
or
think-
worse, some of the things he said were not true, but he was on point about a lot of other things, and a lot of his decisions were driven by what is selling and what is not selling, what is popular, what is not popular. And that's part of the problem we have here. And Robert's right. Like, these movies they could be more prestigious. They could be being directed by better directors, but these directors don't want to come anywhere near them, the decent ones, because they know that they're just basically directors for hire. Like, I still can't believe they somehow managed to talk Sam Raimi into doing Doctor Strange.
Well, okay, because he
I
probably
don't
thought he was
understand
actually
that.
going to direct instead of being a name.
But you know, if you think about like Kenneth Branagh, what better than a Shakespearean actor director to do a Thor movie?
Exactly.
That was inspired. And you look, it's going to seem weird of me to say this. I loved his Cinderella live action film with Lily.
I haven't seen
it's great.
Good.
It's for what it is. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's not everyone. I didn't want to go see it. I went and saw it. I thought it was delightful. Why was it delightful? Because Kenneth Branagh is a great storyteller. He's classically educated. Whether you look at the movies, you know, the ones he's directed or whatever, he knows how to tell a story. And for Marvel to go get people like Joe Johnston, especially The Rocketeer, a superhero period movie,
Right.
you know, what an inspired choice to direct Captain America.
Well,
Kenneth Branagh doing Thor, and Jon Favreau, which was, you know, Iron Man.
Yeah.
Again, the perfect. And then and then these people that are directing these movies, they're somebody who's done, you know, like Nia DaCosta did Candyman and something else, and she's being directing the Marvels.
Yeah,
Like,
horrible.
Exactly.
what the hell, dude? And I
Well-
have no problem with her personally, but she was out of her depth.
Yeah, she's not a good director. Let me finish this up because I gotta grab these super chats before
All right.
people leave. No. Great
I'm all
conversation.
amped up.
No, it's a great. I don't want people to leave without having their super chats read. Let me just finish this. Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, where'd it go?
I love it.
I think that was phenomenal. Now we got Sheridan, Shelley, 35, member for 12 months. Just noticed I passed a year too. Woo woo! Hell yeah! And we're going for another year and many more. Graph Web for $2. The most patient, most obsessive, most dedicated passionate fan I know who wants to cancel Disney Plus. Love you, Graph Web. Sacred timeline restored. Hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Amen. John Kokoza, good friend. For $10, the Free Press just released a bomb report on the degraded state of LA Fire Department. Stations in total disrepair, infested with black mold, etc. It's inexcusable. Everything they've done there, it's all politics. That's
For
what
all of
happened.
our tax dollars, I've lived here for 36 years. We should be the most functioning state in the union, and we're not.
Should be.
I mean, it's just insane.
That's what happens when everything becomes ideological. It doesn't matter who it is, what side you're on. When it becomes ideological, everything dies. There's just no other way. Thank you, Sheridan.
Sense, the death of common sense.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying earlier when Drinker and Mueller were here, because always your statement, Robert, about authenticity is the coin of the realm, it always sticks with me. And I thought about it the other day.
By the way, have you seen how many people are saying that now?
No, I'm sure everybody is.
Everywhere now. I'm not taking credit for it. It wasn't.
Well, you should take credit for it. But the thing is,
I've been telling everyone you came up with it. So
I mean,
don't make me lie.
I thought about it, and I was like, really, when you break it down even further, right? I was like, in a world of recreational outrage, when people are profiting from pissing others off, I was like, authenticity is the only flex. Honesty is the only revolution.
And people know. People can tell. Look, YouTube, this entire platform has been built on people watching other people that they believe in.
Right.
If you become inauthentic on YouTube, you're done. Your audience knows. They'll be like, F you, man. They're out.
Yep, I agree. I agree. Thank you, Sheridan, for £5. We have next. Hold on.
Oh, no, we lost him.
Oh, no, he's gone.
Who's gone?
Rob.
Hello? Rob. Okay.
Rob.
Oh,
Who
we
we
didn't read Mr. Sheridan's chat, Mr. George.
Oh, I thought we did. Oh, okay. Sheridan, Shelly Betty for £5. Much love and respect as always, George and Slayer Nation. My favorite, by far the funniest channel, awesomely edited videos. Love from London. Love you too, Sheridan.
I didn't know you were so funny, George.
Oh, neither do I. Sometimes I pull out one or two that are good.
Your outtakes are pretty funny.
Donna Hergenrether for $5. How you doing, Donna? I'm glad you are here today. Congratulations on a year of streaming. Up for another year. If you are, hell yeah, we're going to keep going. Always forward. Thank you, Donna. Rob Altus for $5. Congrats, George. The quality of your friends is a reflection of the integrity you possess. Cheers. I appreciate that. You're right. You know, show me who your friends are, and I'll show you who you are. I always believe in that. Flying blind on a rocket cycle for $10. Trump's brought attention to China's One Belt, One Road program in Panama and similar concerns for China and Russia with Greenland. I'm learning from the guy. Hell yeah. He is the not only master troller, but a master strategist. It's like TikTok was supposed to, because the Supreme Court upheld the lower court's ban, it was supposed to go dark today, and it went dark for a few hours, and then it started coming back because Trump said that tomorrow he would instantly be instigating a 90-day, I think it's a 90-day delay, either for them to come into compliance and to find an American investor. It was a debate I really wanted to have because I think to TikTok as it exists today, being controlled by the CCP is a piece of degenerate work that tries to program our children into oblivion. And they won't allow it in their own country. So that's always bothered me. I'm all for free speech, but poisoning our own kids is not something I'm for. So I hope they change it. The Hapadon for $10. Biden's attempt to I know, that was nuts, wasn't it? On Friday, he's like, guess what? We got a 28th constitutional amendment. I'm like, really? Passed the 28th Amendment Equal Rights Act as the 11th hour just exemplifies the complete failure of his term as resident of the U.S. A new era begins tomorrow, and I hope you are here. At 9:30 a.m., we're starting the inauguration stream. It's going to be fun. Did any of y'all find that odd that on Friday he just said, we've ratified, the 28th Amendment exists, even though his own head of the National Archive said, sorry. The 7-year deadline doesn't have an extension to it.
Yeah.
It was odd.
I've been disappointed. I mean, look, as I said, I'm a lifelong Democrat and very disappointed. Very disappointed because common sense has died.
That's important. It doesn't matter who's in. You have to have common sense.
Meritocracy and common sense.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first
You're asking
year.
too much from your politicians, Rob.
What's that?
You're asking too much from your politicians.
I
Probably.
know.
I
You
don't
know
know.
what? I'm just asking people to be competent.
Yeah, that's
and,
should be
and
the
have
minimum.
common sense. Like if there's a problem, I always joke about the fact that if you just had now in Hollywood, if you have people that are actually producing films, like no one solves problems faster than a film crew because time is money on a film set. Every second has a dollar value associated with it.
Okay.
So if you have a problem that lingers, it costs a ton of money. No one is better at solving problems than a film production crew. And I'm like, get some great line producers to fix all of America's infrastructure problems. They'll be like, okay, what needs to be fixed? Here's how we do it. And they'll do it. Nobody
agree.
wants to fix anything because everyone's getting a taste.
Because they make money off of things not being fixed.
That's
anymore.
exactly right. That's
the problem.
it should be a national. We have to fix our infrastructure. It's a national security issue. We need to be healthy. National security issue, and we need to be smart. And they don't want us any of those things. It's like let's let all these other people make money. At the end of the day, we're going to get our asses kicked. We need to go back to being the best that we can be, and that costs money, it costs time, and it costs manpower. And we have to expect the best from people.
It also costs
we
one
gotta
thing.
rise up, man, as
love.
Americans.
You need
It's
love,
hard for
though.
your country to be the best when you're the youngest generation hates the country that they're in.
Right.
That
There you
has
go.
been deliberately programmed into them.
That's what I just said.
With
It
bad
takes
actors.
something more than money, though. One thing: love of your country, love of America, love and the belief that it can be the best. That's what's missing, and they got so many people hating it. Like we
Because
just
they've never left the country. Everybody should get passports. We should encourage people to travel and see the world and see how America really is the best place in the world, because no one has the freedom that we have here. No one has the ability to hate their own country the way we have here. That alone should prove to you that America is great, because they won't put up with that shit anywhere else.
Nope.
I want to play this, and then we're going to wrap up. This is just a clip because you have Trump's holding a rally in Washington. You know, they've changed the inauguration for tomorrow. It's going to be at the Capitol Rotunda, but there are reports now stating that they actually might move it inside to the White House. I just wanted to show what's going to be happening in the next 24 hours. Just take a look what he's saying.
In American history, larger, even larger than President Dwight Eisenhower, who has the record right now. And we're going to end the Biden war on American energy and unleash our energy resources to quickly defeat inflation and achieve the lowest cost of energy and electricity on earth. And we're going to be using our emergency powers to allow countries and entrepreneurs and people with a lot of money build big plants, AI plants. We need double the energy that we already have, and it's going to end up being more than that. And we're going to slash the regulations, environmental regulations that are really put in there in order to stop progress in this country. We're going to also slash something else, the waste in our bloated federal bureaucracy. We will create the new Department of Government Efficiency, headed by a gentleman named Elon Musk, who's here someplace. I don't know where the hell he is. He's here someplace. Come here, Elon. Did you see his rocket yesterday? It was captured.
That's definitely a euphemism.
With him. X. Come on, Elon. Say a couple of words.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
It's kid.
Little X just followed me on the stage here. He's a very enthusiastic supporter, as you can see. So we're looking forward to making a lot of changes, and you know this victory is the start, really. What matters going forward is to actually make significant changes, cement those changes, and set the foundation for America to be strong for a century,
What the hell?
centuries, forever.
Are they actually
So-
advertising?
That's a bit racist. You've got an African American on screen when you're selling a weapon. I mean, come on.
But I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting. Rob, you should join us in the morning if you want to. It's up to you.
I have to tell you, I mean, people, I am actually going on to the John Campea show tomorrow.
Okay,
I haven't been on
awesome.
for 6 months, and I have to say that what's crazy to me is in April, it'll be my 10th anniversary of being on YouTube.
Really?
Which is wild.
Are you going to hold a celebration?
Yeah, and I have to say
Oh.
that the reason I was ever on
Congratulations.
YouTube in the first place was the great John Schnepp, who is a friend of mine, and he
From
called me up
Daredevil?
one day and he goes, he was he worked on Metalocalypse. He was one of the creators.
He was the king of the sweaties.
King of the
Yeah.
sweaties. And John calls me up one day and he goes, "Hey, I'm on this YouTube show." And I'm like, the only thing I watched on YouTube in 2015 was movie trailers. And he goes, "I'm on the show. It's called AMC Heroes." And it was the 6th episode.
Oh,
and
I
he goes,
remember
you
AMC
should come
Heroes.
on. Yeah, you should come on the show. And I'm like, okay. Like, I didn't even know, like, there was a YouTube. I didn't know about the people Collider. I didn't know Christian Harloff. I didn't know John Campea. I didn't know any of these people. And I just showed up and I'm like, what do you want me to do? And they had the set. And they're like, we're going to talk superhero movies and stuff. And I'm like, all right, And so I sit down. I met John Campea. Never met him before. Didn't know who he was. And it was me, John Schnepp, and John Campea. And we had so much fun. And they kept asking me back.
Well, that's nice.
And that was the beginning of my career on YouTube. I didn't know anything about it because I was, movie trailers. I didn't realize that there was this happening. And
Well, that's cool. What
I
time
didn't
are you
even
going on?
I think 11, but I didn't know, the whole YouTube thing. It was so funny. And I never even considered, because I would walk into the studio and leave. So I had even though I was on YouTube, I never watched myself. I didn't know what that was like. And it wasn't until I walked into a cheesecake factory in Pasadena, the maitre d' comes up to me and goes, "You're Rob Burnett." And I was like, I'm like looking around like, well, that is my name, but I thought he must have mistaken me. I watch you on YouTube all the time. I actually had to stop and think, why would you? And then I'm like, oh, and that was the first time I realized that I never thought people watched the show. It was totally out of my realm of experience. And then I got stopped at a Coldplay concert at the Rose Bowl, and it was wild. So now 10 years later, I mean, when I started watching YouTube, I started watching Geeks and Gamers. I started watching Jeremy. And I love their doom doom, that sound effect he does with the logo. And then I started watching like Gary. Started watching Midnight. I was a Midnight's Edge acolyte. Every time Midnight's Edge put on a video, I'm like, oh shit, I got to watch that. And then that's how I became, sucked into YouTube.
I can just tell you that I wish you all the best tomorrow, but I'm blessed with everybody around here. When I started hanging out with Midnight's Edge was my first big stream, and Tom brought me on board. Andre, such a gentleman.
Yeah.
And then I met you with Az and Hot Toys, and then Verbal, and then DA and Mr. Grant Gregory, the Aussie from down under. I mean, it's all.
Now
amazing.
I got to ask you. Now this is your anniversary show.
Yeah.
What have you learned? How do you feel about YouTube? And what have you learned from it? And what are some lessons I'm curious. How do you feel about it all?
I love exactly what I'm doing. I will say, at least for me, I know this is going to sound funny, because if people say this, they always get flack for it. YouTube was a lot more work than I thought originally. I thought, like everybody else, oh, you're just going to flip on the camera and you're fucking no. And if you ever say that it's work, people are like, what are you talking about? You just flip on a camera and that's how you do it. No. Like for every show, for example, it's like I prepare every show. I think I've done a couple where I've told everybody, I've told every Slayer, I was like, I didn't prep anything. We're just going to go off the cuff. We're just going to try to figure it out, and we're just going to relax and have a good time. And those can be fun too. But I prep everything for videos. I script them. I've actually started working on videos where I'm just going off the cuff, put a couple of bullet points. But no, it's a ton of work. And now because I don't know. I think you know, Rob. We talked about it a few months ago. I had lost my job because of dealing with those culture warriors, and they're like, either you got to change what you're doing on YouTube, or you got to quit your job, or we're going to get you fired, and it was going to cost the company money, and part of it was family. So I'm like, I'll leave. So I've now been doing everything for YouTube, so my livelihood is on YouTube. But I was like, hey, I'm doing what I love, but I'm trying to make a living out of it. So nothing could be better than that. Karmically, I'll tell you what I learned. When I was 12 years old, I started acting, right? Theater. Love theater. Then which I don't think many people know now, there was a local television station in Houston, an NBC network called KPRC, and they had every Saturday morning a show called Two Country Kids Show. Like a little network show run by kids. Oh, we're going to a school, we're talking to a fireman. And there was a producer on there called Pat Taylor. God rest her soul, she passed away a few years ago. And I would watch it. And one day I got this, bug up my ass. I'm like, I really want to be on the show. So, opened the yellow pages, found the number, called. They said, this is the producer. I called her every single day. 15 minutes after I got out of school. 6 months later, she's like, George, okay, come on into the studio. We'll give you a shot. You've driven me crazy. I was 12. She's like, I just to get you to stop calling. I met her. She was great. And she's like, well, what do you want to do here? All the hosts and co-host slots are taken up. I said, I want to do movie reviews. Shit you not. I have the betas, which I'd like to transfer from beta to Blu-ray. And
dude, you should transfer them, put them in files and put them up on YouTube.
No, as a 12 and to 16-year-old?
Yeah, people would love that shit. Come on.
I'll put it up.
Awesome. George,
so what happened was
what's funny is I say the same shit to Robert all the time.
So what's funny is, so she says, okay, we'll give you a shot. You get to review a movie and we'll pay you. It was $25 per movie, right? I was like, I don't care about the money. I just want to do it. So she's like, so I'm like, do y'all write it up? She's like, what do you think? This is Hollywood? You write it up. You do the review. You could tell us here. You book a time. They'll shoot you inside the studio, blah, blah, blah. My first movie was Space Camp, if anybody remembers that movie.
Bro, are you telling me you've got video reviews of you as a 12-year-old reviewing Space Camp and you're not going to put it on YouTube? You're out of your mind.
I didn't think, I'll tell you why. That was the last time they ever allowed me to write anything without somebody editing it. My first words were, hi, because my name wasn't George Molo back then. I had my dad's name. When I hit 18, I changed it to Molo because my dad, as many of you know, kidnapped me and he was a piece of shit and a demon. Anyway, so I changed it to my grandfather's name. So it was like, hi, this is George Algianakis coming to you with, in my opinion, our first movie is Space Camp to premiere our show. And it must have been directed by it must have been directed by NASA because it failed to take off. And it was right after Challenger blew up.
Oh no!
You've got to put these on.
NASA sent them a letter like, we did not appreciate you. Like they would.
Wow.
I was a little ass back then.
Wow, you were already pushing buttons.
Wow.
The next movie was Labyrinth, and the one after that, a few years later, was Sylvester Stallone's Over the Top. I'm like, over the top means he's like over the hill. What is this? Is he like trying to play with him? And they edited it. They're like, George, you're talking to 13-year-olds. You can't say. I was like, anyway.
I was curious what you said about Labyrinth, considering David Bowie being in his 40s at the time, hitting on a 16-year-old. But yeah,
I liked it, but I said there's something funny about this old guy trying to get a little. I mean, it was like it was.
It was Jennifer Connelly, though.
It was a very, very young Jennifer Connelly.
She had boobs back then. She was beautiful. Remember the first movie she was in? It was one where she was stuck in a grocery store with that actor who was always in everything. But
Well, that's the movie that got her noticed, man. Like that was the movie that
she was in. Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America.
I know. Oh, you're right. That's before the grocery store movie.
You're thinking of career opportunities.
When she's riding this,
But she's with that actor who I swear you've seen him in everything.
Yeah, he's.
I don't know who the hell he is.
Oh shit.
He was even in Luke Cage.
Not Frank Whaley, but his other. I can't think of his
name.
Yeah.
In Luke Cage,
he was in
the
Pulp
dirty
Fiction and shit like that too.
He is in everything. He was in the one with.
No, that is Frank Whaley.
Is it?
Oh, that's Frank Whaley. Then who am I getting it mixed up with then? Or is it in both?
It's this guy right here, Luke Cage. I swear he's in everything. I turn around and this fucking guy is always there. Here he is.
Frank Whaley.
Frank Whaley.
Yeah.
Frank Whaley.
That's what I thought. Because I saw him in Little Monsters the other day. I'm like, oh shit, that's right. That is Frank. He's in like everything. You're right. He's in the door. He's in a bunch of Oliver Stone movies too. Right?
All
like
I
The
can say
Doors
is if
and
you're a Jennifer
Born on the
Connelly
4th of
fan,
July.
you have to watch the movie The Hot Spot.
Ooh.
If you haven't seen The Hot Spot with Don Johnson, and it has John Lee Hooker and Miles Davis.
Oh
together.
yeah, good movie, great movie.
And if you're a Jennifer Connelly fan, that's all I'm saying. Just do yourself a favor and watch The Hot Spot. I've never been in a movie. I saw The Hot Spot at the Directors Guild of America at a screening, and there's a scene when she's topless.
Oh god.
And every single person, I'm watching the movie, and here's what happened. The entire theater went, I mean, the collective gasp.
Yeah, of course.
Men and women. The sheer perfection in the theater, it was hilarious. And everybody laughed. Everybody went, and then they all laughed because it was funny. That everybody, we all knew that we're all busted. Because
of course, there was also
Requiem for a Dream. Did you see that?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so. Oh,
you can't even say it. I think you can't even say it on YouTube.
The unedited version, by the way.
Yes.
The unedited version.
Oh my
the
god.
one with kind of
It's
like
insane.
that required KY and two women and
Yes.
It's insane.
It's it's God bless Darren Aronofsky.
What the hell happened to him?
You know,
He made Mother.
To his
That
defense,
was
man, he's
what happened
not.
to him.
Look, you can't have those kind of balls in filmmaking anymore. Like, no, you can't. I mean, filmmaking, it used to be raw, man. You know, I mean, you can't have that kind of, rawness anymore in Hollywood.
Where'd it go? Well, not to Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Well, Darren Aronofsky actually the other day, something come out about him doing a Plastic Man movie for DC.
Really?
Yeah.
They've been trying to make a Plastic Man movie for like 30 years.
Yeah.
I can just tell you that I don't understand, as we wrap up now, why the hell Universal cannot seem to get its monster universe right. The Mummy, Dracula Untold, and now Wolfman is a piece of shit. Just saying. I saw it.
The monsters have to be the star, but they won't. They want to change it. They want to.
There was no mythology to it, Robert. I don't know if you saw it.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't.
No
I
mythos.
like Lee Wanell. I mean, I liked
I know, but no
Upgrade and I liked
mythos.
Invisible Man.
No mythos to it. They're treating it like a medical disease, like lycanthropy. The Wolfman did not look like a wolfman. He's half bald. I'm like, they're wolves, Nothing beats American Werewolf in London, The Howling Wolf.
Yeah, those were great movies, man.
Untouched.
All righty, last one. Skull Eater 2016 for $10. Glad you've been here 1 year. TikTok is not about censorship. ByteDance used the app to spy on Americans, and it was used to track report. I agree with you. I'm saying some people are saying that we shouldn't ban it because of free speech. And I am saying that I think China, the CCP, has taken advantage of the woke movement that happened in society, the breakdown of education, to program children. And if you look at the content that used to be fed to kids, I'm talking about regular tweens, teens. When you do the research and you see a child would go up at 12 years old and go, I'm confused. I feel bad. They wouldn't serve content that was uplifting. They would serve content that would reinforce that. And you're asking yourself, why? That's programmed in. That bothers me. On top of the fact that China spies. And they don't allow TikTok in their own country. They have Weibo, which is all about nationalism, patriotism, family, art, science, mathematics, but no Tide Pod eating. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for that, Skull Eater. And Olaf, happy 1 year live stream anniversary. George, we never give up. We never bend the knee. Always forward. That's our decree. You betcha. All right, gentlemen. Thank you, Tom, for coming. What are you doing this week? And where can everybody find you?
Well, congratulations on your anniversary. And you can always find me at Midnight's Edge After Dark, and all those fine places, wherever comic books are sold.
All right, that was a good one. Verbal, what you got coming up? Oh, I think I see you in the morning, right? Are we
I
doing?
think so. I think
Yeah.
I should be there. I know I'm doing double duty because I'm doing you and I'm doing your show and Chris
I
Chris's
didn't know.
show
Okay.
at 1:00 versus on Film Threat. So I'll be all over the place this week, man. I'll probably have a few videos about just the coming year, man. Because here's the thing: if January is already this crazy, like the rest of the year is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be
like
nice.
we're already starting off hot, no pun intended.
But I have good expectations for the year. What about you, DA? Where can they find you? And what you got coming up?
Derek Anderson, the DA, is my channel. Go check it out. Closing in on 25K subs, so I appreciate all the support that I can get out there. Yeah, I'll be having daily videos up as well. Normally, I got 3 live streams at night. The nightcap at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sometimes we go all the way up until 1, 2, 3 in the morning my time. So it just depends on what we're talking about. We had a long one last night. But yeah, come check me out. And then, of course, the DA's office is every Sunday at 8 p.m. So you guys can watch me tonight. We'll have some guests on. We'll just talk about, Hollywood in general. That's basically what we do.
Love it. Mr. Grant Gregory, your first time, and I hope you'll be back soon. Where can everybody find you? What do you have coming up next?
You can find me anywhere where the words Mr. Grant Gregory are there. I'm usually the only one that's doing it. I've got my current series where I ruin your favorite TV shows with AI. I've done Sopranos, Squid Game. It's good. The Soprano ones it's great. But I've now ventured off and I'm now ruining everyone's favorite movies with AI. My very first one, which should be premiering tomorrow, is I Ruined Seventh Samurai with AI.
What?
Yep. Yeah, I've got
I
them
love
in
the
hamburgers. It's fantastic. But also, my other channel, I'm bringing back comic book trivia, and we'll be doing our first match again this weekend. So it should be a lot of fun.
Thank you for that, Mr. Grant Gregory. I can't believe you're touching Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. That's like
I had to. It's my favorite movie. If I'm going to do it to people's favorite series, I've got to ruin my favorite movie first.
It's one of my favorite movies. Jesus.
One of the greatest movies ever made.
It is. All right, birthday boy, Robert Meyer Burnett. Where can
well, I mean, I'm still, doing my thing on my channel, the Burnett Work, and we will have 2 episodes of True Noir dropping this week, episodes 5 and 6. I'm really loving doing this, and I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when it's over. I've been working on it for a year. So, True Noir, go to truenoir.co to order the show.
Please do so. It's incredible stuff. It's always like that in life. When I had finished writing my first book, I was so excited. But the day that I finished it, it was much different than I expected. I had built this up in my mind that I climbed Olympus, that I would be jumping up and down. When I finished, I was like, what happened? I think for me, it's always been more of the chase, the hunt, the pursuit. And when you arrive, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of people get involved in Hollywood and they think that if you make a movie or you achieve whatever it is you want, you think you're going to be a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Like you make a movie, you make a TV show, whatever it is you think you want, you do it, and then when it's done, I've always thought that people think that whenever people watch their movies, they get like a little jolt of electricity, and
right,
it doesn't happen. And I think what drives people nuts in Hollywood is they think they're going to be different people by working in the industry, and then they realize they're not different people. Like you win an Oscar, but the next day you're still at home in your kitchen, brewing a cup of coffee or whatever. It doesn't change you at all.
And you don't have wings, and you're not flying,
nope.
and you're not.
Nope. Yeah. And unless you like the process of creation, I've always told people, like, people get into Hollywood because they think they're going to be able to date the girls they couldn't date in high school or whatever. That doesn't happen. And you think you're going to be a new person, a different person. It's going to give you something. And sure, in certain circles, you certainly get to go to a couple of great parties, but it doesn't change who you are.
Yeah.
And unless you like the process, like for me, I've loved making this audio drama. I love directing the actors, but mostly I sit here right where I am now, and I've spent months putting this thing together, picking out the voice, the line readings, and it's the process of making it and then mixing it. when it comes out, you don't know when people listen to it or watch it. You don't know what's going to happen to it at all. And then if you haven't enjoyed the process, there are no accolades at the end of the day that are going to make you feel better. You're still the same person you always were. So,
yep.
I agree completely.
Work matters. I mean, if you don't enjoy doing the work, the finished work, I've always said that the work is the locomotive that pulls you down the track. If you want to do a whistle stop tour and you're in the caboose and you want to wave and talk to people, that's great. But the locomotive that is the work has to be great. It has to be great.
I think my mind
will always pull you down the track.
You said locomotive, and I keep thinking Requiem of a Dream, and that just, I don't know.
Oh no.
A locomotive, it just came at the same time. See, that's what happened.
It did come, I'll tell you.
I had a couple of drinks because of the thing. Anyway, thank you all. Bless you all. Y'all came here, celebrated the anniversary. We're going to be back here next year. But tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m., we're covering the inauguration. We're going to have a lot of fun. So if you want to make the rules not serve them, stand tall every day when you look in the mirror. All you have to remember is we're fighters with one unbreakable rule. We never bow down. We never bend the knee. Always forward. Have a blessed week, everybody.